Mm, mm, mm. Oh, yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half-stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call in, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Like Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Like Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call in, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Like Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half-step Marcus J is live. We in the building. Ready to have an outstanding show. We're excited. We get to do this every Monday, or most Mondays, as I've taken the saying, and we're still live, and we got a lot to get to. We're going to have an NBA draft tonight, our own NBA Legends draft. So think about who you would take. You know, there's a lot of conversation about the GOAT. Who's the GOAT? Who's your GOAT? Given an opportunity, who would you pick? So we're going to have a conversation around that. We're also going to talk about the Titanic tragedy. There are many folks who have opinions about that. We will share ours. Hip hop is 50 years old. 50 years old. And I'm going to ask the question to the panel, and I'm going to ask it to you. When did you fall in love with hip hop? Flagship show, Legacy in That Radio. We got Green Talk. We got Steffisodes. We got Missing Children. We got the whole shebang here on the flagship show, Legacy in That Radio. It's called Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, and it's live right now.
Yeah.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
You know, #1 Marcus J is live from NewDen of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you, everybody, for rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out already on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, and we're thanking those folks that are checking out the archive. You've already been passed and gone, but you're checking us out at a later time. We appreciate those folks as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're listening, you are watching, you are experiencing the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. I won't spend any more time in the salutations because we got a lot of show for you tonight. I'm going to start by introducing the usual suspects. Leading off, of course, sitting across the table from me as he does in his perch every single week. He is my brother. He is your brother. He is John Ray. What's up, John? How you doing, bro?
Loving the life that I'm living.
Loving the life that he is living. Yeah. I'm gonna keep going because, like I said, I want to shorten this part so we can get to the good stuff. Sitting to my right is my right hand, my sister and yours, Steph. What's up?
Hello, brother.
How you are doing today?
My dear
Hey,
brother,
Steph.
Yeah. You good?
Yeah,
You good?
I can't complain.
Yeah.
I had a productive
Yeah.
and fun weekend. You know, and I started Friday afternoon because I'm not working Friday afternoons because I like to start playing.
Oh boy.
So it was productive.
Oh boy.
Let's just say productive and fun.
John, you hear this? I like to play. You hear that?
Listen, I got a whole like 4 conversations that I've been holding to have with Steph.
Yeah.
Her life just makes it not easy.
Oh, please.
Not easy to get with her.
Always call me, bro.
I know,
Always.
but that don't mean you always gonna answer.
Oh, come on, for you too. Maybe not everybody else, but for you too.
She loves us. She loves us.
Or text me right away. You know, if I don't answer, I'll respond.
So here's what I want to do, right? I want to get right to the fun. We're not going to do the NBA draft to lead off, but we are going to determine our draft position first, right? And so, John, what is that? Look up for a second. What is that? Tell us what that is.
That's number 1.
Okay.
One.
Steph.
That would be numero dos.
Okay. And this one is a 3, right? So I'm going to put each of these in a hat. My hat. Unscientific draft
This
determination.
is very unscientific.
Unscientific,
Fold them back on the sticky part. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do like John said, right? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull out my mic stand. I don't like the mic stand.
See, that's why when
don't
you're
like
not
mic
watching
stands.
on, you got to see it. You got to be watching on
Yeah.
My mic
Facebook
sounds
to
nice.
see what's
Check
happening
one.
here.
But what I'm doing is I'm taking the stickies, right? You know, this is for those New York Knicks fans alive in 1985.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna freeze the envelope.
I
Okay,
knew you
to
were
make
gonna
sure
go
that I
there.
get what I want to get. I'm not going to do it, right? Not going to do it. But what I will do is I'm going to take all 3 of these. I'm going to put it in my hat, right? And I'm going to take, I don't like the mic stand, right? So I'm going to shuffle. And because Steph is considerably prettier than John, she's going to pick out of the hat first
Sorry, John.
and whatnot.
This
And
time
because,
the light-
need to apologize.
and
This time the
because-
light skins don't win.
and because John
Yeah,
is
I know.
considerably more handsome than I am, he's gonna pick
We ain't
after
been winning
Steph,
since Morris Chestnut.
and then and then I will pick last. So Steph, pick
I'll
one,
be sure held it down for a while.
pick
though.
one, so that
We had
Christopher
Shamar
wins.
Moore, but
All right, and John,
Yeah,
pick
definitely
one.
Christopher Williams.
we had
Okay.
Shamar Moore, but then they did the movie The
Okay.
Brothers, and Morris Chestnut
So-
just creamed him in the
Killed
movie.
him.
Because I chose. All right, so everybody, don't open it up yet. Right, John, you got yours, Steph. Okay, so this is for the people. Now, when you can look, but don't reveal. Do not reveal. You can look, but do not reveal.
Can you
Don't-
tell I'm the kid that I want to
Do
open
not-
something on Christmas
Do not
Eve?
reveal. Just follow me. Do not reveal. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to move into another topic. And then immediately after the topic that we have a conversation on, we're going to come back. We're going to take our draft. And what we're going to do in our draft, and this is the NBA Legends draft for those folks who are watching, right? And I see more people are coming on. We just
Does
did
it
it.
only have to be like I mean,
Anybody who's ever played in the NBA.
Anybody,
Okay.
Up to
anybody
and in-
on the team
Okay.
Yes.
ever.
Look,
From George Mikan to the Wimbayana kid
Listen,
that just got drafted. Everybody's
you
on.
announced this win the other day.
The other
announced
day.
this 2 days ago.
Yes.
I started working on my list 2 days ago.
That's what I'm
I ain't
talking
playing.
about.
But
I
you know
wanna
what?
win.
I live my list,
Oh,
so
you
I
know
don't
what?
got to
I hate
work
you.
on it.
Go
I already
That's
know
what I'm
what
talking
it is.
about. See,
I
I got,
you know,
and listen, if
be
y'all
ready,
if
stay
y'all want
ready,
to
you
pick,
don't have to get ready.
if
I
y'all
hear
pick
you.
somebody I want, I got 3 alternates down for
Same
everyone.
here.
there it is.
Mhm.
Now, let's set some rules.
I went
That
deep,
we
though.
we
Y'all ain't
didn't
gonna pick my
we didn't set rules. So let's I'm gonna put out a few suggestions,
I got
and by
one.
all means, so you have to in your first five players, you have to have 2 guards, 2 forwards, and 1 center, which is the which is
no,
which,
no, wait,
which
wait,
is
wait,
which
no,
is the
no, no.
lineup.
No, wait.
That's the traditional lineup.
That's the traditional lineup, but that don't mean that you could put anybody where you want to put them. That don't mean that they had to play that their whole career.
I would think they would have to have played that.
That's where you would
Nah,
know.
not
Point.
really, because
That's-
the players I'm picking
That's the way you
done
would know.
played 3-4 positions.
Come on.
All right, John can do what John
John
wants.
is
Yeah,
Johnny.
John just has to. Yeah,
He's
he's
just
Johnny.
I will
Johnny.
call.
He's
I will
Johnny.
no. How
He
about
is
this?
Johnny.
No.
He's
No.
Johnny.
Listen.
He
I
is.
will
Look at
say
him.
my guard. I will call the position
Okay.
But
and
you
then
gonna
put the
put
name
Shaq
to
in
That's
a
a that's a
guard?
that's a fair.
I wouldn't do
that's,
it,
that's
but
a
I'm gonna
fair.
call a position.
That's a fair
All right,
compromise.
all right,
At
I-
guard,
I,
at point guard.
Shaquille O'Neal, if you chose to.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
right.
Okay, I'm okay with
I'll
that.
take my little
I'm o-
boxing glove.
And listen, that'll make my team great or
That is-
garbage.
That is.
depending.
I think that's a fair compromise. All right.
Now I got one.
Let me do this last
Okay,
thing,
good.
and then we pre-decided that we want to pick 3 bench players,
Right.
and they could be whatever they want, whatever you want them to be.
Right.
Okay.
Utilities.
Exactly.
Got it. So now, my thing is, we're picking this team based on we're gonna play one season to win a chip.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
It doesn't
we're gonna
matter, though.
no, it
We're
does
just
because
drafting right now.
right,
Yes.
but no, but what I'm saying
yes
is,
to that too.
but what I'm saying is we're drafting, but
It's
I'm drafting
with
based on
winning in mind.
their best.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay.
Why would we be drafting? What's the point? The
We're-
draft only includes
we're
the best.
drafting
Because
for
there's
fun.
a lot of players
It's a fantasy. We have to be clear that it is in
If
fact.
your skills ain't good enough to pick one outside of one of them players, I can't help you, bro.
Hey, look.
We'll see.
Let's be clear. It's a fantasy draft, fully designed,
And it's one season,
fully
and we see who's gonna win the chip.
fantasy draft, fully designed for us to have some fun and banter.
And you there at home
He
and
said,
in your
"And
car,
you."
And you.
And
you
don't know where you
you
pointing.
get to decide whose team
Yeah, I
wins
do.
the chip.
Yeah, actually, that's not.
We'll
a bad
come back
idea.
next week.
Yeah,
The team will be on the site the whole week,
I actually.
and I want you guys to pick
Actually,
whose team
I-
is
You
going to
like
win.
that?
I mean, I think it's a step further than what we had in mind, but I don't
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Yeah,
I don't hate it. So
Yeah.
let's keep that in mind. So we're
All right.
gonna do the draft in the very next segment, and I want to have fun today. I want to jump around because I'm feeling somewhat feisty today. It's probably because we haven't been on the air in a while. We're going to talk about the hip hop turning 50. We saw on the BET Awards last night, Busta Rhymes was given a special achievement award by the BET Awards, and I watched it. I thought it was great how he responded to it, but for me, it was more about him being chosen. And I'll just share this one quick thing on Busta. I'd like for you guys to respond. I've got another piece on 50 years of hip hop that I'll ask later on in the show, but for the purposes of right now, let's just do a really quick reflection on Busta Rhymes being the person who they decided to get the achievement awards, and your feelings, relationship with Busta, your feelings on him being a person. I will go first. John, I want you to go after me, and Steph, I want you to have the final word on Busta Rhymes. But for me, I go back to the leaders of the new school.
You stole my thunder.
Well, I think we all gonna probably go there, so that's okay. The International Zone Coaster was my favorite song. A lot of folks like PTA, and that's great. That song was great, but Zone Coaster was my song. But my earliest memories of Busta was how excited we would get for his features, and how whenever you heard him, you knew it was something about to go down. He talked a little bit about that in his acceptance speech and how he made his money off the speech, the features. But he was alluding to after Leaders was over. I'm talking about even before, while you were still,
He was still with Leaders.
when you were still with Leaders. Like the first time we heard Scenario, Tribe Called Quest, first time we heard Scenario, it was like
he killed it.
Yeah,
And he was different.
never heard nobody like that.
He was different.
Never seen nobody like that. So John, jump in here. Obviously,
Great.
I have more,
That's
but
a good thing to bring up right there. That's a really
yeah.
good point.
I mean, obviously, I got more, but I want to kind of get us going because this one is a fun one. What's your thoughts? What you got on Busta?
Busta Rhymes, the mighty infamous.
I almost said it.
Always entertaining and mischievous. It's my dude. That's my G, homie, dude. Yeah, he is a exceptional artist. He elevated the craft. I always speak to people and they talk about, music and so on and so forth. And I say, well, when you came into the business, when you came into the craft, did you take it someplace where it hadn't been? Or did you just do what anybody else is doing?
Right.
Or did you take away from it? Did you make it, were you not as good as who came before you? Right? And Busta Rhymes is somebody who elevated. Like I think about Leaders of the New, right? And I got to think about my boy Charlie Brown, right?
That's
Last time I saw Charlie, he was in a movie with my man from All My Children, Jesse. What was that guy's name?
Yeah,
Donnell. Whatever. Yeah. He was in a movie with him. Last I saw Charlie
Angie's
Brown.
man.
Right. And it was like, dude, I would never have thought that, the whole group would take such a wide, what do you call that, Steph? A wide, give me some words. You're brilliant.
On a wide burst.
Birth.
Mhm.
As far as where they went. But yeah, and my favorite Leaders of the New is Sob Story.
Oh, that's mine.
I know you, and you know me.
Hey, look.
I know you, and
look,
you know me.
You telling us that was worth
I know
Steph's
you,
reaction.
and you know me. It's the
reaction.
sob
I didn't think
story.
anybody would
The
say
sob
that.
So we
story.
still got the phone ringing.
John,
We
you know
still
it's supposed to be
taking calls
off.
live on the show. We still doing
I'm
that.
sorry,
dog?
it's my sister.
Yeah,
She gets
well,
Hi,
only
A.
because it's your sister. Peace. You live on the show. Look at you. Peace to you. Yeah.
I see you later.
Yeah. So Steph, jump in here. Give us your Busta Rhymes
Yeah,
story.
definitely Sob Story. I loved the opening. So Busta to me elevated, even with Leaders of the New School, elevated videos the way that Michael Jackson did. I felt like it was super visual. It was very stimulating. He was very much in your face. I loved how he looked when he was a part of Leaders of the New School. I just loved that he looked so out of control, but was so in control verbally. Right, Sideshow Buster. Sob Story did it for me. I loved the visual, them riding up on the hood of the car. So I loved that. I absolutely loved that. And I knew, and a few times in Brooklyn, some passings, in real life, he was a big personality, even younger. And so I loved Sob Story, but then if you're going to talk about Busta now, just reflectively, I think current artists are not nearly as creative. They do not have the willingness to go as far as he goes. Even when their videos look different, they look the same. There's always been a formula in the music industry. Everybody knows that there's a formula. A certain, you look at the 70s, it was a formula that made sense. As far back as Motown in the 50s and 60s, a formula that made sense. I think he was outside of the formula, very much the way I think of De La Soul, being so far outside of the formula that it was like, even if this doesn't work, I'm being true to myself. That's what I felt watching him. And I just don't think you can capture that today. Everything he did looked like he put so much money into it. When he started getting into his videos in the 90s and the early aughts, easily earned that award. I know that 50th, they could have been like, you go real classic African band, blah, 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 blah. No, I think changing the face of hip hop, he earned it.
Yeah, they know how to
He
step
earned
on Marcus J live from NewDen. Legacy Internet Radio. They love us, y'all. Our fans and family members are all checking us out. So let me get some of these salutations, and for the folks, some of these comments I've already put on the screen. I want y'all to be seen, but let me go ahead and get the salutations in. First off, Uncle H is in the house.
Hey.
PC Uncle H. Our sister in Legacy Internet Radio alumni, our sister Unique is checking us out. She says peace and whatnot. So peace to you, Unique. Peace to Sean Mears, also known as the coach. He is saying El Capitan and crew. I'm rocking with y'all. El Capitan would be yours truly. Our brother Sean is checking us out. Brother, appreciate you, man. Good to see you. He says, what up, fam? Unique says, I am hip hop. She is hip hop. But then Unique, she kind of called me out. She said, Marcus J, what you sipping on?
I got mine hiding.
Yeah. I am the king is sipping on his crown. That's what it is. That's what it is. She continues, Unique continues, Buster's energy always made you want to get up out your seat. Yes. And our
even
brother,
when he's performed recently.
Yeah.
You cannot deny he's kept up the energy. Even with a little bit of,
Yeah.
heavyweight.
Yeah. You
Special thanks to Split Star.
Oh yeah.
For real.
Absolutely. And you know
For
what?
real. Hype man forever.
And
right?
I you know what I loved about that? Let me get the rest of these comments in, because I'm gonna spend some time on that point. Thank you for bringing up Split Star. Unique says, I saw you, Queen. Yeah, I saw you, Queen. Yeah.
I'm in there with you. I'm gonna just go ahead and bring it back to the front.
She said that she saw you. Let's see. Our brother Barry Farmer, the Barry Farmer morning show, is checking us out. He's checking us out. He says these new artists are lazy and lack creativity. That's a whole nother conversation. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but that I can get with you.
Barry made an interesting comment on his Facebook page. I couldn't get into it as I was working, but he made an interesting comment about Ice Spice and how underwhelmed he was by her. And sometimes I'll see things like that and I go, maybe it's just not for me.
Yeah.
Based on my generation.
Yeah.
But I do agree with him. When I saw that later, I went and looked and I was like, he's right.
I mean,
underwhelming.
It's definitely, I mean, I watched the show because there were certain things and people that I wanted to see, but I have come to let me get this last comment and I'm gonna go into it. My cousin is checking us out, and I tell you, the Jones family always comes through. My cousin Olivia is checking us out. Peace to you, cousin. Thank you for rocking with us. So let me get back to Split Star. Right, I love watching that because. Did you see Buster? First of all, he's already emotional, which I thought was outstanding. Oh yeah. Because y'all already know.
Are you shocked?
Y'all already fair thing. I didn't see it. So.
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, it's not a movie; it's an award show. So
here's the thing, John. The way you use social media, which let me give my brother a fist bump because he knows how to.
He's engaged.
He's engaged. He's on the TikTok and everything else.
He's engaged. But
I will say the easiest thing for you, go see what you want to see on TikTok because they're all on there. Make your life easier.
Let me get back to the Buster point. The thing about it that I enjoyed, that I loved, was the honesty and the emotion, the authenticity in the emotion. And one of the things that I learned in yoga is being intentional. You got to be intentional. You know what I'm saying? When you are doing things, make sure that you intentionally do it. Man, do that shit. Right? He was very intentional about pausing and taking in the moment and then allowing the emotion that came over him to be authentic in his in expression.
And they didn't rush him.
And they didn't rush him. He said, I'm going to take 2 minutes. He took more like 12, but it was great. But getting back to the point about Split Star, when he turned to give love to the people, when he said Split Star, he said, that's my best friend. I love you. Yeah. And ain't that what I always talk about on the show? I always talk about as men, as black men in particular, we should be very intentional about showing care and kindness to our brother without the fear of being made to seem soft or effeminate, as if there's a softness to it being a woman. Like that's the dumbest thing ever. Because
Right.
the toughest
Or
people
like
I
it only
know,
belongs
the
to
toughest
us.
people,
No, it doesn't only
the
belong to
toughest-
y'all, but I think it does.
the
It is
toughest,
y'all.
they birth babies. They kick out whole humans. Like, like
Yeah.
Yeah, they're tougher than us.
Yes,
bounce
they
back.
are.
But they're softer than us too.
Well,
So
I
they-
mean,
they
it's
just
it's
win.
relative. It's yin, it's yang, it's night, it's dark, it's tall, it's short. You know, you always gonna have a difference, but doesn't mean one is better. Because I happen to be on the small side. Try me if you want to.
Oh,
That's the
okay,
energy that that's
okay.
how I that's how I know.
I
That's
happen
the
to-
energy.
I happen to be on the big side, and please don't try me. I
See,
don't wanna
you
be
see,
tried.
you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't wanna be
equal,
tried.
it's equal power,
Yes.
and I'm glad you went there, because that was the point that I was getting at. Like, there's power in everything, including men versus women. But you know, that ain't me going.
Also,
That's
shout out-
sort of me. And Unique says it's a balance.
It is a balance.
It is a balance.
Split Star representing Flatbush hardcore. Even named one of his kids Brooklyn.
Did he really?
Before that was a thing.
Did he really?
Named one of his kids Brooklyn.
And at least he stuck to it, because Jay-Z flaked. His daughter was supposed to be called Brooklyn Carter, and he flaked with the blue ID. Jay-Z, when I see you, we got beef.
But no, for real, I
You
mean,
got smoke with Jay-Z over his daughter's name. I can
always
dig it.
loyal to, those two are loyal to one another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I love you. When I saw that, I was like, yo, that's dope, because Spliff, I think he started like a record label in like 2007 or 8, something like that.
Yeah.
Dropped his first solo album around that time. And so many acts today, they struggle to keep it together. But if you look at some of those older acts, if you get Chuck D, you getting Flav, right? There's no doubt about it. Everybody comes with, you get Run, you get DMC. And if Jay was still here, you get Jay. It's nice to see that those elder acts in the hip hop community have been able to continue. Some of the newer groups, I mean, they can be related. We can look at, we can look at Takeoff, Offset, they can be related, and they can't stay, the Migos, they can't even stay together. The fact that he looked back, he made sure he included him.
And he told me he loved him in front of everybody.
Yes, he did. He made it clear, this is more than music.
This is my best friend. I love you.
Yeah,
Let me get Sean's comment, then you got it. Sean says, Patty not knowing the words to Tina's song had me on the floor. Patty, Patty is notoriously bad when it comes to that. And when she's reading the
Her own
teleprompter,
music.
yeah, her own stuff. Like, and yeah, I honestly,
take that
when
as
everybody was clowning her and stuff, I didn't even blink. Like,
No.
I didn't even blink.
She's done that before
That's- yeah,
on
that's-
her own stuff.
And I challenge anybody to a sing off. And if I had I'll take Patty in the field.
Patty was doing something, I believe, at the White House, and they lost her teleprompter. And she said, she started singing, the actual words she was saying was, I don't know the words. And in the middle, she'd be like, give me my prompter. And then she would come back and do a run.
Yeah.
I don't know these words. I don't know what you want me to do.
It's Patty.
Listen.
She's a performer.
This is old school entertainer. They know when you have that kind of vocal energy, when you have that kind of musical ability, you'll fill the space. And guess what? We'll still watch Patty. Patty will be 80 singing like that.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen. Legacy Internet Radio. Unique says she's laughing at Brooklyn Carter. And she says that's powerful brotherhood to tell your brother that you love him publicly. No doubt. John, I love you, brother.
Love you too, bro. So LL dumped his dude. I can't think of his name right now, but I was always mad at him. LL had a hype
Chill
dude.
Will.
No,
Chill Will,
that
Barry
was
B. Those the
DJs.
DJs. I'm going through the name.
Yeah, I was thinking
It was the guy on the side.
Bobcat. The dude that just stand there looking
Earl loves
mean.
ladies. Was it Earl? Nah. Somebody loves ladies and ladies love Cool J, but I forgot the guy's name.
Okay.
But anyway, he dumped him on like the 4th album, and we ain't heard from him since.
Damn.
LL, you ain't shit. And as far as singers go, did y'all see that movie with L School Entertainers, the movie A Night in Miami with the thing with Sam Cooke and
Yes, I did. Malcolm X.
So they tell
Yeah,
a story. They tell a true story.
Yes.
I do remember
of
that.
Sam Cooke without a mic singing a cappella and getting the whole crowd.
They do.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, these people
I
today
forgot
they
about that.
can't I mean, go back. I do. YouTube is your friend. Go back and get some live performances like Harold Melvin and the Blue Note
Yeah.
and Gladys Knight and the Jackson Five, and they are playing instruments, dancing and singing, and sounding like the recording, if not
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
Y'all
But that's-
people now need Jesus.
But
So-
also, let's think about it. And I know we got to move to other things, but real quick to your point, John, if you were on YouTube, TikTok, any of those, and you go and you look at live studio sessions, most of these people were going in there with a band recording those old albums. That's why the originals are just so powerful. They, Bill Withers, just imagine him in the recording Lovely Day. It was
When I
was
wake
live.
up to the morning,
Listen,
light.
You know,
When I-
holding
when I-
that note, and then now you perform it, and it sounds exactly the same.
When I was a working engineer in Manhattan and recording live bands, like it's an art form to it.
Yeah,
To be able to mic instruments and record them in sections, and then sometimes you have to do the whole band. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's a skill. It's something that's lost because now people make whole songs on their phone
right,
Yeah.
right.
with a movie to go
Look,
with
we're
it.
excited about Apple Music spatial sounds because you're not getting that, and also you can go and look up where they've dropped everything but the audio, the isolation, go and look up the isolated version of things. I challenge people all the time, if you really listen to your favorite artist, go and pull up whatever song you like with the artist and put in isolations in YouTube. Some of your favorite artists need to not sing.
Yeah, yeah. We all know who the studio singers versus the live singers
Yes.
are. And one of the things that I was thinking about, and I'm going to share. I'm going to take this last word, and we'll share. As I was watching the BET Awards last night, there was a lot of rapping over your track, and that's not to throw shade at any of those people. That's not why I bring that up. But I would say that is a pet peeve of mine. For if you're going to have a track,
I
then
just
have
want
an
the
instrumental track.
Me
Just
too.
have the instrumental track. If you're not going to have the band play, which is
Yeah.
fine, I can dig that. But have an instrumental track, and you can
No
even have an
audio.
altered instrumental track to go with your live set. But what I don't like is hearing you rap over your own lyrics.
I don't
That's
either.
the worst thing ever. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from NewDen.
I didn't realize I
Legacy.
didn't like that much
And-
until I started going to more live performances, and I was like, why do you need that?
Yeah,
Listen.
ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. So our brother James, he just dropped a Busta Rhymes Forever Connection to Virginia Union and Big Ben. Big Ben being Ben Wallace,
Wallace.
Virginia Union University alumni and NBA Hall of Famer. It's funny. I remember having the interview Ben when we were in college together, and not a fun interview, I gotta say. I'm an affable dude, but he made me work.
Yeah.
Steppin.
Well, you can go back and look at
Yeah,
a lot. I mean,
yeah, he made
at
me
least
work.
you weren't
Yeah,
different. He
yeah,
made everybody work for their
I
interviews.
found it out as I got older, but I was working
Super
for the
difficult.
Virginia Union University Connection, was the school newspaper, and I was tasked with a one-on-one with Ben. I had 30 minutes with him, and it was a challenging 30 minutes, and I've certainly been around him many times since then. He's a nice man. He just ain't got a lot to say.
Right.
So, I could dig
You
that.
know, Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, right. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from
Marshawn is
NewDen
cool.
Legacy in that
I'm doing an
radio.
interview out
So
of
y'all
Marshawn.
ready to get into this NBA
Ugh.
NBA Legends draft?
Now that I pulled
Yeah. All right. So
Now,
everybody should already know who their teams are, right? So I'm going to write down over here. I'm gonna write Marcus J, because that's me. And what's your name? John, right?
Winner.
John. His name is Winner. Okay, Winner. How you spell that? J-O
WIN capital R.
and then Steph. So I'm actually going to write down each of the picks. And just to reiterate the rules, and we're not going to spend a lot of time. Like, if you want to say your person, you want to say a word or two, but in time, we don't want to spend too much time on it. So, who's got the number one pick? That would be me.
I knew because you don't have a poker face. I knew. I was like, and I was gonna say it, but I was like, nah, that'll just reveal where I am.
I got the number one pick. So
It's rigged.
So
It's a fixed election.
with the number one pick, and the ain't no half stepping with
Wait,
Marcus
are you
J.
gonna let everybody else announce? Oh no. Oh, we're gonna do. Okay.
Yeah, we picking it. We picking it. We picking in order. So remember now, you got to pick. You got to pick two forwards, two guards, and one center. So with the
one at a time, right?
Oh yeah, one. Oh yeah, one at a time. So whichever one of y'all is picking
call your
after
position.
me,
Yeah,
whichever one of y'all is picking after me. Since
Here
I have
we
the
go.
number
Wait,
one
you don't
pick.
have to pick his position though, but you have to pick a position.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
I
pick.
know.
Yeah, just pick one of your five.
I know.
You know, one of your five. So anyway, with the number one pick in the Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J Legacy Internet Radio Draft, Marcus J selects with the number one overall pick from the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James.
Ugh. So obvious.
Hey man, who's got the number two pick? Who's got number two? With the number two pick in the draft, John picks. He's got the number two. We can see
So
it.
you know
He's
it's
got the
real.
number
Well,
two.
we already know.
So I guess it didn't matter that we let you go in the hat first, huh?
With the number two
Really
pick,
didn't.
also from the Los Angeles Lakers, I pick Irvin Magic Johnson
Magic. Okay.
Okay.
With
as my one. What position is LeBron, sir?
for me, he's a forward.
Which one?
Oh, with two
It doesn't
forwards,
matter.
two guards. We're
It
not
doesn't
doing
matter.
that. Two forwards, two guards.
Magic's my one.
All right. So he's your guard.
Well,
One of your two.
My
so,
one.
So
number three.
So who do you pick, Steph?
With the number three pick in the draft, I am going to fill the most important position for me right now, which is my forward position with Dennis, the Freak, Rodman.
Dennis Rodman.
Please
All
don't
right.
play with it.
All right.
Please
so
don't.
Keeping it going. My next selection is going to be a guard by the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Oh, whatever. First of all,
Once again,
LeBron and Michael ain't going to be able to play
Hey, man.
together.
Once again, I'm
man.
snickering.
Hey man. Hey man.
They ain't going to be able to be on the
Hey,
floor
man.
together.
Clearly, the two of you don't understand the greatness of LeBron James.
I'm not saying nothing about James,
Look,
but
look,
John, who you
Mr.
got?
Michael
Let us just
Jeffrey
know.
doesn't
Who
know how to
you
be a
got?
good
With my
teammate.
second overall pick, I will be selecting Shaquille O'Neal.
You know what? I hate you. Let me stop.
Who you got, Steph?
You know what? I'm gonna do it with my second overall pick. I'm gonna pick my dude out of Philadelphia, the 76ers, Allen Iverson,
Hey.
and we will be practicing.
All right. we go
We
practice.
will be practicing.
All right. With my next selection, I will pick the man formerly known as Lou Alcindor.
Alcindor.
I got Kareem. Who you got, John?
In the interest of inclusion, Larry Legend.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. We're going
That is my two guard.
okay.
Even though my man is still on the board, I'm going legendary for my center. Coming out of the Boston Celtics, we are going to go with Robert
The
Parrish.
Chief. The
The
Chief. The Chief.
Silently killing you.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. All right, let's get some comments in. Unique is with you, Steph. She says right on, Steph.
Yes. You talk about AI?
yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. Let's get some love for the legendary brother who put me on, gave me my first mic.
All right.
Our brother Tim Casey is checking us out. What's up, bro? He says LeBron is number one. No, that's not what he said. LeBron, good pick. And then he says LeBron and MJ, Marcus J wins. Unique says Steph, yes. Steph coming with the real.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, Unique.
So I got two more picks here in the first round left. Okay.
We
So,
all got two. Yes,
My
thank you.
point guard is from Chicago, Illinois, but you know him as the number one bad boy. Yes, I'm putting Isaiah Thomas
knew
on
you
the
were gonna
same
say
team as Michael Jordan.
I
Yeah,
knew
I did that.
They ain't gonna be
There's
I did
no
that.
ball being played
I
with that team.
did
That whole
that.
team
I'm
is
not even
fighting
worried
before
about
they
it.
even make it to the floor.
Not with Kareem on it. Duh.
What, Kareem gonna send them to that?
not with Kareem on it. What you got,
He
John?
could go back Lou
Okay,
Alcindor.
with
He might
my-
be able to fix
What
that.
am I up to? 4? In my fourth
No, we're all we're
my fourth
Your
overall pick, I will
Yes.
go with the big fundamental.
Okay. Tim Duncan.
That's right. Tim
Okay.
Duncan.
Tim. Earlier I was like, I'd put him
Can't-
on my list.
Can't go wrong with Tim Duncan, bro. Can't go wrong with Tim Duncan. That's a good choice. My sister, what you got? Your next
He's my small forward.
pick. Okay.
I like a man that can play multiple positions. This fella burning up the sun. I'm going to go ahead with KD and take him as I'm gonna move him. He's gonna be a little bit of shooting guard, a little bit of small forward. We'll see what he does out there. But KD, all
Kevin
the way.
Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
My team is quite peaceful and a little spicy. You got AI here to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. One more pick left for this round. Let's see. Let's get some comments in from social media. Unique likes my choice of Isaiah Thomas. Let's see. Tim Casey likes Tim Duncan, is his personal favorite player of all time. So Tim approves of choosing Tim. You see what I just did there? You saw what I just did there? Yeah, I'm the corny guy. I am. I own that shit though. Our brother James says, as slow as Jokic and Luka plays at times, Larry Legend will be killing these youngins today.
For real. They cannot make it up and down the court.
James, good point. All right. So our final picks of the first round, then we will take a break and move on. We'll get serious. And then we're gonna come back. You know,
this is a good show.
Yeah, I like the rhythm. I feel like I'm doing salsa. Yeah, hey. All right, sorry. That's just me indulging myself. All right, so I guess I am see. All right, so one more pick for me. So I am enjoying this, but no one delivers it better than the mailman. Karl Malone.
No.
Yes.
P-Do Malone.
Yes. The mailman Karl Malone. All right, so
delivers pedophilia and everything else.
Occasional STD.
Yeah. You know,
in this modern day era, he would have lost that contract. He wouldn't be playing.
Pocketed child support payments and everything. Yeah.
Wrote his kids off. I'm good on you. No shame.
Terrible person. Marcus J picked him. Terrible person.
Shocked at you, Marcus.
Yeah,
listen,
I'm
you
definitely
want to win.
I'm trying to win.
All you care about is winning right now.
Trying to win. So, John, who's your final pick of the first round?
At my number 4, I pick Hakeem.
The Dream. Okay.
Olajuwon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mess with my team if you did.
Okay.
Oh, please.
Steph, who's your final pick of the first round?
Final pick of the first round. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just nail down my centers. I know you wanted our starting 5, right?
Starting 5 first. So you got two forwards.
I got 2 forwards. I got
and a center.
My center.
So you need another guard.
No, I got Kevin Durant. Oh no, okay, yeah.
Unless you're putting Kevin Durant, you're gonna play by John's rules and put Kevin Durant as a 2 and pick another forward. You can do that.
No.
It's up to you.
I would leave him at shooting guard. I'm gonna go with a classic, a legend, John Stockton.
John Stockton, you can't go wrong with that.
I'm going with
the man that has
always on point.
That man
John
has
Stockton.
more assists than anybody in the history of basketball.
Right.
So Unique, you said really Marcus, but I said so many really Marcus things since the last time I looked at the screen. Which one of the things that I said?
The mailman. You already know.
Oh, that's the one I got really Marcus for. I thought I said something else crazy. I don't remember. It's the Crown Royal, man. It's the Crown Royal.
So before we move on,
yes, sir.
Please run down the teams in their positions.
All right. So the starting 5s, and later in the show, we will fill out. We still have 3 more choices to make, right? But Marcus J starting 5 will consist of LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas, and Karl Malone. A team full of people who can't stand each other.
Hate each other.
They hate each other.
Karl Malone hates everybody.
Karl Malone hates everybody.
Hates
Michael hates Isaiah. Isaiah's like, why you hate me? Because I'm great, which is true. That's why he hates him, because Isaiah is great. I should have chose him higher than Michael. Don't get me on a Michael. I chose him.
I mean, Isaiah
Hey,
is
look,
great.
I was about to diss my own guy. You see how much?
Because you know what Michael Jeffrey Jordan is all about.
So John has Magic, Shaq, Larry Bird, Tim Duncan, and the Dream.
So please put it in order. We got
Oh,
we
God.
got
Why,
Magic
John?
I
at
read
one.
it as
Larry,
it was.
yeah, but that's
was-
the pick. Magic at 1, Larry
I
at
read
2,
mine the
He
way
read
right?
it in
I
Tim
read
exact
Duncan
order.
at 3, Elijah Wan at
Why are
4,
we doing
and
this?
Shaq is 5.
Why are we doing this, man? See,
in a movie.
he's
He's in a movie.
Johnning.
He's Johnning.
He's
in a movie.
Johnning.
We let him John.
Can I
like
do yours the way I?
well, however you want to. Come
Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, Robert Parrish, Kevin Durant,
on. I didn't get Isaiah
John-
Thomas. What you talking about?
Allen Iverson. I'm reading Isaiah. I'm reading. See, I
Okay,
can't
do
read.
mine again.
Dennis Rodman, Allen Iverson,
That's right.
Robert Parrish, the Chief, KD, Kevin Durant, and the man with more assists than anybody in the history of the NBA, John Stockton. I think we have 3 teams that would be very competitive in anybody's NBA.
They really will.
I think you did a good job, John.
Everybody.
Steph, you did a good job.
Thank you, fellas.
You did a good job. I'm gonna kick y'all asses, but I still think y'all did a
highly
good job.
Your people are not going to be able to function.
We-
Gotta be
my guys,
functional
my, guy,
first.
my guy's not gonna get along.
No, y'all going to need Pat Riley,
No,
Bobby Knight,
Popovich.
No. They're gonna need Pat Riley, Jeff Van Gundy, and Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson, go ahead.
And
Yeah.
another ball.
Another ball.
We're gonna need another
Another
ball.
ball.
We're gonna need another
Because
ball.
Michael going to be like this the whole time.
So what they gonna be doing? So Pat Riley's gonna be schmoozing.
Yes.
You know, Phil Jackson gonna give him something to read.
Yes. They're going to meditate.
And,
Do
and-
yoga
and-
together.
and Jeff Van Gundy is gonna inspire them.
Yeah, look,
Yes.
Pop is going
We
to give
can
them
really
the,
win.
Can't we all
Can we just get along?
Civil
Yeah.
rights speech
You know what I'm
from the
saying?
white
So,
man.
yeah, you know, I think we had some good players here, and Unique is commenting on why she made her comment. It's the mailman. That was, you nailed it. So
Mhm.
I see you, Tim Casey. I had the same thought.
Terrible just to be terrible.
I had the same thought, Tim Casey. There are a lot of names that have not been chosen.
A lot.
Kobe Bryant hasn't been chosen.
No. he
Steph
hasn't.
Curry hasn't been chosen.
No, he
Okay.
hasn't.
Joker hasn't been chosen.
Sure enough.
Those are names who,
They
the
names.
the Iceman,
Yeah.
George Gervin,
George
Dr.
Gervin.
J.
Dr. J hasn't been chosen.
Bill Russell.
Russell, Wilt Chamberlain
Wilt
Still
Chamberlain.
hasn't been. George Mikan hasn't been chosen.
Oh, yeah, George Mikan.
Oscar Robinson,
Oscar
you know,
Robinson. Yeah.
Felton Spencer.
Dirk Nowitzki. I do like Dirk. What did you just say? Wait, what did you just say?
I just named somebody who was horrible,
Whoa.
just for fun. Felton Spencer.
You know what? Put your mic down.
Eddie
and
Curry
Leave the
hasn't
room.
been chosen.
We didn't
Jeremy
get-
Lin
Wait,
hasn't been chosen.
Albert
Jeremy
King.
Lin. Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin
You
hasn't
know
been
what,
chosen.
Albert
Stop.
King.
Albert King,
Wait.
Robert Ory,
Any
Chris
of-
Childs.
What-
Chris Childs hasn't been chosen. John,
Oh,
what are we
Chris
doing in here?
Childs. Y'all are such haters. I can't stand you.
Christian Asian kid.
Jason Kidd,
Ace.
Ace the Kid.
No
because
J.
they got no
Y'all
J.
No
gonna
J.
leave out
Hey, look,
Christian Laettner?
I will tell you, I
Y'all
got
ain't
one.
gonna
I
pick-
got
what-
one.
Nobody gonna choose Christian
The
Laettner.
worst free throw shooter in the history of the NBA, Chris Dudley,
Chris
has not been chosen.
Dudley.
You know what I'm saying?
Still on the bench.
So there's a lot of
Alonzo
people-
Mourning
Still
ain't
waiting.
been chosen.
So he
I-
wants to go
look,
back to
And he
serious.
can play. Jason
Lonzo-
Williams hasn't been chosen. He can
White
play.
chocolate. White chocolate.
White-
That other Jason Williams.
White-
White chocolate. Ooh.
Oh, the one that
White chocolate
yeah,
is
the
my
murder.
That, yeah,
The
that-
other
play.
Jason- the other Jason Williams, man.
You
He
saw
can
us.
play.
White chocolate.
You saw
He
us.
can play.
We both.
Listen.
at the same
Look.
time.
If y'all got mailman, I could get Jason Williams.
Bill Cartwright hasn't been
Jason
chosen.
Look,
Williams.
I'd rather ride in the car with Jason Williams than mailman.
Pete-
Tell you the truth.
Jason
Hey,
Williams
look,
might have
ain't
did
nobody,
well.
nobody chose the logo. Nobody chose the
Of
logo.
course not.
Nobody chose the logo.
Who here is
We're
gonna
bigoted.
choose?
We're
Who
not
here?
racist. We're bigoted
Who
as fuck.
here?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Who
I
here?
mean, do we have another one? Until we have another one, that's the logo. Damn it.
Look, that ain't been the logo since Spike Lee said it's the shoes. It ain't been the damn logo.
Look, he's more of a commentator than a player. I don't even think about it.
We are clearly having a
Yeah.
lot of fun with this. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio. So let's take a detour into a little bit of seriousness. We're going to do 2 serious topics. And then we are going to get back to the final question that I have for hip hop's 50 years. And then we will close the show before the rants and closings with our final 3 picks. So, as we move to serious, I want to talk a little bit about Green Talk. When you mentioned, John, earlier about getting rich on the internet, online getting rich is the topic or the foundation of what we're going to get to in Green Talk. So you got the con, as we say, or as I say. What you got?
Thank you. First, I'd like to say, let's make a clear distinction. I'm not speaking about social media. When I say online, I don't mean social media.
Right.
Social media. I'm talking
That's
about
just a method.
I'm
That's
talking
just
about drop shipping, day trading, crypto, buying houses from your home. All of the stuff that people want to coach you at and tell you about how much money you're going to make. But I'm going to explain something to you folks. If it was that much money to be made, they would not be telling you. They would not be telling you. I tell people often, Wall Street does 8 to 10% annual, and these are professional traders. That's all they do all day. They went to school for it. They know it, and they got inside information. They do 8 to 10% a year. Whole life insurance policies do 10 to 12%. These are people who decided to leave Wall Street because they can make more money doing other things. That's 10. Hedge fund managers, the big guns, the people, you can't come to them without $25 million to walk in the door. They do 15 sometimes. That's annually. When people start telling you that you're going to double your money in 30 days, when people start telling you that you can ride the crypto wave that has already crashed onto the sand and no longer to be seen, when people are telling you that from the privacy of your own home, you could buy a home with no money, no money, no money, please just stop. Stop. There are good things to do with your money. There are good, solid investments. And listen, anybody who's doing it, I did Forex, right? I did commodities, right? I've traded things, and it was good money. But what you have to understand is the amount of attention to detail that it takes to operate these systems. Most people don't have it, right? You're going to get 1 in 10,000 people who try that can be successful. And even then, a lot of times what people do is they have dummy accounts and they trade and so on and so forth. There's a lot of shit in the game when it's real money. They won't let you out of a trade when you get ready. You'll be hitting a button like a motherfucker and watch your money decline. They won't let you in a trade when it's time to buy because the big dogs have the G3 accounts hardwire. They're not using Wi-Fi that they bought from their neighbor, right? They getting in way before you. If y'all remember a few years ago, it was a big deal about net, what do they call it, Steph? Net, the thing with the internet.
Oh,
neutrality.
Neutrality, yeah.
Right? Because people,
and you notice they're not really talking about it anymore, right?
And the reason that was because the big dogs with the big cables in the basement and the big giant servers and the 4 air conditioners cooling it down can make 10 trades before you blink with robots designed to make trades. And you think that you're going to go in on this trade and make money and get out without them crashing your account. And then when you start making over $10,000 in a year, right? The Federal Trade Commission is going to knock on your door, right? You have to have special certifications, and you got to have accessible bank accounts and certain things to trade in the big arena. And if you think you're going to do it and get away with it and all, and you've seen the TV shows and all this, and you got the Norden thing with the dummy IPM, and it looks like you're in Europe and all. Go ahead and try it. And they will knock on your door and call you by name. They will knock on your door and call you by name. It's not a joke. It's not a game. No. So think about these things before you go into these things. And do your due diligence, research hard, and trust me when I tell you, if the money was that good, nobody would tell you about it.
Per.
Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. John, that was good, man. I like the jewels. I like the way, and Unique is agreeing with you. She gave you a whole bunch of thumbs up, and she's literally like one of the smartest people I know, so I can dig it. There are lots of ways that you can do it, but be wary is of how you go about doing it.
And I want to double say, I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. I know people right now making lots of money, right? Doing, I have a friend, personal friend. I mean, my friend, who made over $2 million on crypto in just a couple of years. I don't think he's messing with it now. I know people who have, $500,000 jobs, right? That when they want to transition, right, and they waiting to land someplace else, they'll go online and they'll do Forex, right? And they'll make, 2-3% a week. 2-3% a week safe money. You understand what that is? Do the math. It's 52 weeks a year, y'all. That's the kind of money. And do you think if you can make that kind of money, they would tell you that you could do it and let you do it? You wouldn't have to work for long. And we need workers. We need you guys. So just keep in mind.
Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Steph, you ready for Steph episodes? You ready to talk to us about churn, CHIRN, CHIRN. But before we talk about churn, we got a salutation we need to drop. Yeah, she said good morning, y'all. So when she says good morning, we always greet her in the same manner as we do every single week. John, you ready? You ready? You ready?
Ready.
Let's look into the camera together, y'all. Let's do it.
Good morning, Sue.
Yeah, how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. All right, Steph, tell us about these churn.
All right, so it's less about the children, or as a West Indians say, the picnic, and more about
the picnic them.
And more about the parents. So, originally I was gonna put this in my rant because I don't like to debate abuse. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the table. I was thinking I happen to be in my home. And I, live once the kids left, you guys know I moved into these loft spaces, warehousing type thing. And I was Steph in the city. I was
fancy
all the way in my bathroom getting ready for an event on Sunday, and I could hear a neighbor disciplining their child. Now, mind you, the bathroom is way in the back of my apartment. I would have to walk through the kitchen and through the living room to get to the front door, to get to the hallway, to be near their door, which is not directly across from me. And I hear a child screaming repetitively, "No, mommy, please, mommy. No, mommy, I won't do it again. Please, mommy." And I hear the traditional belt and talk.
I just think Penny when I hear that.
Yeah,
I was trying not to say it though. He had to say it, yo.
Yes,
I wasn't gonna say it.
Millicent.
I hear the strap, and then I hear clearly what the neighbor is saying.
Yeah,
it's all words of abuse. It's F words, and you're gonna effing listen to me, and you're gonna yeah. And I hear the belt every time. It's a belt. It's a very distinctive sound, and I'm listening. I then look at my clock, my clock, and I realize I've been listening to this for 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Too long.
The reason I was on a timer, I was waiting on a lift, so it was counting down because I was going to an event. You want to drink and drive and whatnot, but it's at least 2 minutes and some that this, we love to call it a beating, is going on.
I was abused.
And I'm gonna just say this. First, I want to talk about how we view discipline. And so I'm gonna, set it out here. First of all, the greatest manner of discipline is something that teaches, not traumatizes. If you are creating trauma for your child simply because you're the parent and you get to do it, that's abuse. That is not discipline. Most people who are using a belt to beat their child don't even have enough person. That's a sign that you're lacking personal discipline. It's the first place you went. You don't know how to coach. I mean, if you can't get control, I know the child, I've seen the child, so I know this child is not over 5 or 6 years old. If you can't identify a way to redirect or course correct with a child, he surely didn't rob a bank, he surely didn't kill an individual. If you can't find a way to redirect, and I'm stand firm on this, at 5 and 6 years old, I don't care. And I promise you, if you can do this at 5 or 6, you don't even have to think about beatings at 15 or 16. But if you can't find a way to course correct or discipline a child without using a belt, your hand, or whatever form of physical discipline would get you put in jail if you did it to someone that you didn't birth or didn't raise or didn't create, you lack parenting prowess. Now, you can say it worked for me. I will tell you, if you're beating your child, spankings didn't work for you because it didn't create discipline in your life, period. Spankings didn't work for you because you didn't learn the art of parenting. You learned that the only way to discipline a child or to force them into submission is to do something that if someone else did it, you would call the cops. You know, some of you are beating your children the way that you would classify a foster parent in a horror movie. You're literally, I don't understand now, years after parenting, and my children would come on this show and tell you, that's just not how I discipline. My daughter said it on air, she said it to me and I posted about it. She called me a gentle parent. That's not to say I was a perfect parent, but it is to say that I was a parent that recognized I don't want to be hit. I have better communication skills. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. I'm in a position of power already, so I don't need a belt to create movement or traction with my child. I didn't birth a person and then decide I'm going to be their worst abuser. I'm not going to do to my daughter what I would kill some young man for doing. And so, and also, let's get real deep. You're just passing on the master's behaviors. You don't want to acknowledge it.
Their trauma.
But the only reason you're traumatizing generationally years later, and here's an interesting thing. The only reason you're traumatizing with a belt years later is because the people who taught you to parent, your forebears and the people before them were disciplined by someone with a strap. We often talk about, look at them white people. They done letting their kids ramp and run and blah, blah, blah. You know why? Generationally, they were not beating each other with a belt. You're the one who picked up their habits. They understood the horror of a strap and they taught you to use it on your children. They taught your great, 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 great grandma, and that's how they discipline. And I will tell you, when you get to the point of beating a child, you typically are in such a state of frustration and annoyance that if you just took 5 minutes, it's like, think about what you do to preserve your job. When you're angry with your boss, you don't sit down and start typing. Sometimes you sit down and start typing and go, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes before I send this email because my feelings are involved. And I may not, when I cool down and cooler heads prevail, I may not want to say this because this thing may be detrimental to my well-being. Just think about the fact that typically beating someone, a child, is reactionary, number one. Number two, it is outside of scope of you being able to control yourself. You did it in the moment. And number three, you left that child with the only message, which is fear me. Fear me. And I will tell you, there are parents whose words, the kids know they mean their words. By the way, the same people who use beatings as everything are also the one that turn around and still buy that kid everything that they don't need at Christmas. So they teach them that the beating was just really about me torturing you for you annoying me. but I'm not going to teach you by withholding things that you don't need and providing you with the things that would make you better. Children do not need to be beaten by good parents. Good parents know how to discipline and course correct without it. And if your only thing is spoil the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child, and I grew up in a very religious environment. If your only lesson is spare the rod, spoil the child, I'm going to tell you that the book that you're reading from has been revised over and over and over again. Most of you would never even be able to read the original dialect, and then it has been rewritten, and that was a primary lesson taken and used on Sundays, the one day that the slaves got an hour or so to sit down and listen to the master. And it was a repetitive lesson to train you that we're doing this on God's behalf. We're doing this on God's behalf. So all you religious people, because Black folk, the most religious people in the world, we love Jesus, right? We love Jesus. We call him in every situation. Don't go to church, but you calling him. If your God is one that is telling you that the only way to do something, to train someone, to love someone and course correct them is through physical abuse, you might need a new God. You might need, that's all I'm saying. You might need to review the way you saw God, because your God really is the master that taught you that verse and that taught your forebears that verse. So my question I would pose is, how do you view corporal punishment or disciplining a child, recognizing that the word discipline should not, why do we immediately, you hear discipline, you immediately picture something physical. How do you view positive disciplining within your household?
Let me get a couple of comments in from social media. Let's see. Unique is still watching, and thank you for rocking with us and the interaction that you got tonight. We appreciate it. It's outstanding as you are. She says, so much I want to say, but my comment would take a phone call. Steph, you are so on point. I have a lot to add, but you are so on point. So with like a whole bunch of O's, like 4 O's.
Thank you.
And so is like spelled with 1 O. So if you put 4 or 5 O's where 1 goes,
it's for real.
That means she really agrees with you. Yeah. Our brother Clay, PC Clay. Clay says, by the way, good morning from Asia.
Wow.
Asia. Gosh, man. He says, love my sister's point of view and respectfully disagree to a certain extent. Would love to see where there's a divergence. I'll say my piece. I'll be brief here, man. I got 2 spankings, beatings, whatever you want to call them in my lifetime. As a grown person, in hindsight, I feel like what precipitated them, if we are spanking people, I would say I probably deserved it. You know, one time was for stealing, and the other time was for trying to set fire to some place that could have been bad. Something bad could have happened. I was with Stephanie Glover, who every chance I get to say her name is a wonderful day for me. We lost her a long time ago, but she was literally my first best friend, and we were just 2 little kids playing, setting fires. We got caught, and I got a spanking. And then I stole something from Aunt Marie's house. I got caught. I got a spanking. So in the moment, I knew to anticipate, but obviously didn't feel good. It was the kind of spanking where you getting held by one arm while you try to run with one leg, but the other leg is dangling. Like we all could picture that. Try to say it in a little bit of a comical way, but I would say that because you grew up with something doesn't mean that's the way it should be.
Right.
My natural instinct is to say, well, I mean, I got spanked. What's the problem? But I never spanked mama. Her mother never spanked her.
Is she out there killing people?
She's
robbing,
not, I mean,
like
she got a couple of tags to the leg when she was a toddler. You know what I'm saying? Quick in the moment, stop that, that sort of thing. If that's what we're talking about, then I guess I would be for it. I don't imagine that that's what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking
about. And I didn't think it was. So, I made a conscious effort because I was never going to be the male parent spanking the female child. That was something that I was very conscious
Think about
of.
what you're teaching your daughter.
That's why I was very.
About a man.
That's why
and
I
how
was
he should
very,
approach her.
very, very conscious. Like a situation happened with Mama yesterday where I owed her an apology, a sincere apology. I messed up, and so I had to tell her in the moment and afterwards. I apologize. I messed up. I'm not gonna always get it right. I'm the daddy. You're the child, but you deserve respect. You know, you're 20. You're a grown woman. You deserve respect. I messed up. I'm sorry, and so I hope you understand. Of course, it was something that we dealt with, and it's fine. But I needed her to see how I move when I'm wrong,
Exactly.
and how I get no joy out of being right. I get joy out of harmony. I would prefer the harmony out of being right because I'm usually right anyway, and I'm good with knowing that and not having to put that on you. I'm just call it arrogance, call whatever you want to call it, but I call it peace. I don't need to be right. I really don't. And if I'm wrong, clearly, I need you to see that I recognize that as my child because I'm trying to teach you how you should move in the world. Now, there's enough people in the world that's going to be fucked up enough that they're not going to match you.
That's
But
true.
you don't move because you're expecting people to move like you move. You move because it's authentic to you. And as the parent, I'm teaching you that. So I don't want to teach you that you did wrong, so now I'm going to strike you. I don't want to teach you that. And I certainly don't want to be the daddy teaching my girl that she should expect that if she messed up with a man, that he can put his hands on her. Because then I got to go to jail when he does it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But and I want to, first of all, you're stealing my thunder for my rant. I can't wait now. Thank you, because I will reference that. But before you hop in, John, I want to say this to address something that you said there. There is a big difference between a little, when someone is little, and even then, I'm kind of like, well, I'll say it this way. What your parents did, there are things our parents did and our great-great-parent and everything. You've changed other things. Why can't that be a thing we change, right? We can move forward differently. But if you're your child's first abuser, I don't really know where you go from there. And we may not want to think of ourselves in terms of abuse, but if two police officers, a judge, a guardian ad litem, and a social worker who wasn't molesting children was standing in the room, would you pick up the belt and beat your kid? And beat them saying the things that you would say? And I do want to preface now, I'm somebody that's proactive about my word, right? So I kept hearing this beating going on. I couldn't take it because I didn't know how much longer it was going to go. And now that I got to hear it in my home, we need to stop. So I stepped in the hallway and I said very loudly, "Oh my God." Yes, I did. Yes, I
I'm
did.
snickering again.
Yes, I did. Because I'm tired of this child screaming. And I'm tired of hearing a child saying, "Mommy, I'm sorry. Mommy, I won't." You don't feel the pain I feel. I don't even know your kid. And I'm feeling sadness for them. So since you're impacting my emotions in my house, and you know what? Then I walked right back in my apartment. I closed the door. I closed it slowly. I closed the door. 2 seconds later, she stepped out in the hallway looking side to side to see who it was. B, you know who it is.
Yeah.
You know it's me. Knock on my door. That's cool. You know it's me. But if you have to come outside and look both ways with your bonnet on, you know you ain't shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me get this comment in, John. You got the con. Cozy Creation is checking us out. Cozy Creation, thank you for rocking.
All the way from Sunshine State.
Sunshine State. Yeah. Peace to you guys down there in Florida. Your governor is whack. But I'm sure you agree. We are learning ourselves and holding accountable, demonstrating growth as parents, is what Cozy Creation says. And seriously, all jokes aside, appreciate you rocking with us, and thank you. John, you got the con.
I will say this when it comes to corporal punishment. Your results may vary. I made a little joke earlier. You were talking. I was like, I was abused because of what you said. But my mother had a thing with beating. I didn't get a lot of beatings. I remember when I got, I too set a fire, but it was accidental. I was playing tent under the bed, and I had the covers, and and I had a lighter, and I wanted to see in the dark, and I had that thing on the there wasn't no thing as not non-flammable back in the day, so the box spring caught on fire. My father ran into the room, flipped the bed up, put the fire out with a towel. I ran into the living room. He caught me and with one hand grabbed me, hung me upside down. With the other hand, took his belt off and gave me a nice whipping. I don't think I got a real beating after that for about 5-6 years. My mother would spank my hand with a hairbrush for different things. But my mother had a thing. She was like, listen, you don't hit anybody in their face. That takes their dignity, right? And you don't hit anybody in the back or the chest because you could really hurt them. But she would get some legs, butts, and arms, and she would tear them up when she could. and she make you hold your hand out, hold it out, and you be there, you be ready. Don't you flinch, don't you flinch. She looked the other way, come fast with that wooden hair, you know the wooden hairbrush. Bang! Hold it out. And in retrospect, I realized she wasn't even hitting us hard.
Yeah, but
she was just letting us know her level of disappointment. I'm not justifying it or saying it was right. Now with my kids, I did beat my kids. I needed to. I needed to. But I'm gonna tell you what I did. Have you ever seen one time? I remember beating my child. And you ever had a gift wrapping paper thing, you know, the in the middle, soft piece of cardboard, right? Hit him a couple times, but I was swinging it hard as I could, but it broke after the first one. He wasn't hurt, right? But what happened was he was crying, not in pain. He was crying because he knew at that moment how disappointed I was in him. Right. Same thing with my daughter. One time she was going crazy about a fly in the house. She was. I took a palm, you know, like the palms you get from church, and again, she had on some, you know, pajamas or something. She didn't even feel it, but the fact that I was doing that, the disappointment she felt that she had disappointed daddy was enough to translate. Sometimes children, a lot of times we make bad decisions. I tell young men that I meet, especially ones who don't have children, wait till you like in your 40s, because before then you're too stupid to pick somebody you're going to spend the rest of your life with, to procreate with. You don't even know who you are. You're going to try to find somebody and get lucky enough. You know how lucky you are to get somebody and y'all procreate and the child comes out okay and balanced and all right? How lucky you got picking somebody, because we don't really know people for a while, you know, and then you got to know their family history and all kind of stuff, because crazy passed down through generations. And you get some kids, I don't know. I mean, we're not supposed to beat them, but listen, another thing my mother would say, I'm gonna beat you so somebody in the street don't have to. Right? Sometimes you need to know that there are consequences and repercussions for your actions. And when you're dealing with some of these beautiful black babies who are innovative and intelligent as hell, you could try all the Dr. Phil, whatever, and they're gonna come right back at you, and they know what's going on. They know that they're being disciplined without pain. So they're gonna work their way around it and find another way not to be caught. I ain't do wrong if I ain't get caught. Sometimes and listen, I'm very old school. I'm the baby of about, last count, like 17 kids. So everybody I hung out with growing up was older than me. So I'm very old school in how I think, and I reserve the right to be wrong about it. But like I said, results may vary. Sometimes you might need to, because I can only think about some of the kids who do some of the horrible things that get done these days and in the past 2 decades, of the insanity that young people have been unleashing in our community and other communities.
Yeah.
And I can only think that somebody dropped the ball here.
Yeah, but you dropped the ball children aren't typically born bad. Yes, we can always go to the really small percentage of sociopaths and psychopaths that are, born into society, but most misguided children, when you're seeing them doing things 14, 15, this knuckleheaded crap, immediately you find knucklehead parents behind it. Immediately.
And a lot of
And-
times the parents, the parents are an issue, but I think environment plays a big part of it. And I think when people actually stopped raising their children is when we had this problem. Right? Because your kid goes to school, they go to the preschool thing, not preschool, but they go to school before the school. So they're there early because you got to drop them off because you got to get to work. Now, when they get off at 3, you still at work. They're going to go to the after school program, the other program, some other program, all these other people. By the time they get home, you get some food in their mouth, you make sure the homework is done, they go to bed. They don't get any of you. They getting all this other stuff from the world. And all you doing is clothing, feeding, and housing them. Nobody's
so it
home.
still goes back
Nobody's
to lazy
home.
parenting.
No, it's not lazy.
I know
it's either that or starve.
Well, no, because here's the thing.
It's only 24 hours in a day.
There are only 24 hours in a day. But again, this is why I said I wanted to do this as a rant, because we're so broken as a people. We justify abuse. We validate it because we don't have a skill set. And that's just the truth. And we can love our parents and look back at everything and even be like, I'm good, I'm fine. We don't have a skill set. We truly don't, because even within that 24 hours, there is coming home. It's late at night. Listen, let's look at this homework real quick. Yeah, it's letting them know I'm still watching you. I'm still seeing you. It's even being able to communicate. I think communication skills are lacking. For instance, same parent this morning. I'm getting ready for my day. I hear the same child. The child's whiny. Kids are whiny. Why are you so weak that children can take you, either expose your true character or take you out of the one you state you have? Now, my true character is I don't see children as inhuman. I don't see them as pawns to my life. I see them as other individuals. It's why I don't force children to eat random things. They have taste buds. They know them damn collard greens weren't good. They don't want to fucking eat them. Why are you making them sit there? I, to this day, don't like collard greens. I can tell you many a day I've sat at a plate of congealed collard greens for 8 hours listening to the other kids play, because between me and you, I'm going to bed and this plate gonna be full, and I'm not eating these greens. I don't care how they taste. I don't like the texture. I don't want it. You want to threaten me with a belt? Go ahead. Here's the thing. We have these extraordinary expectations of children when we are unextraordinary people. You're being an unextraordinary parent. You're telling them the only way you understand discipline is if I'm screaming at you or beating you. And therefore, then when you go to school and teachers can't scream at you or beat you, you don't listen, you don't understand, you don't hear anything, you don't know how to react, you don't have human reactions. Oh, and by the way, don't react to pain. You cry one more time and I'm gonna beat you again. What kind of fucking inhumane stuff is that? It's ridiculous. And my final thing is, you are creating the monster that you are. I heard the same mother in the hallway this morning. It's 7 o'clock. You probably woke the kid up. I hear them late at night. You don't have discipline around bedtime. You don't have discipline around bedtime because you don't want to be the parent that has to take him back and tell him to stay in bed. My kid would get out of bed 7 or 8 times. Curious. He was a night owl. No, said to my son, go back to bed. I will walk you back to bed 7 or 8 times. I'm not exhausted enough.
Never got out of bed.
I can keep doing this. I'm not going to beat you. And then finally he would give up and he would say, I'm sorry. And he would stay in his little bed. And that was that. Never had to beat him. This little kid is clearly tired when he wakes up. Now you're in the hallway, literally screaming, shut your fucking mouth. It's 7:30. It's 7:30 this morning. Shut your fucking mouth. Shut your fucking mouth. I look out the peephole. Here you are in your bonnet, your gut hanging out of your t-shirt, your holy leggings, your Crocs on, screaming at this baby. Now you're traumatizing him. Now daycare is going to have to deal with all of his internal trauma. Please stop telling me that beating and screaming creates peace and little people. does not. You are the problem. If you can't parent your child without a belt or a verbal sword that is stabbing them through the gut the time they are 2 or 3, you, my friend, are the problem. You need parenting lessons. You need parenting courses. You need the things that foster parents told you. Not need to parent or sit down.
I can't argue when you make it plain that way. We do have folks who are giving different opinions. I'm gonna get a couple of the comments in social media. Nicole is checking us out. Peace to you, Nicole. Thank you for rocking. She says, "Spare the rod, spoil the child. You can discipline your child and spank them, not beat them. It's a difference, but all children doesn't need spanking, just talking to, but some need spanking." Unique alluded to that a little bit earlier.
Results may vary. That's all I can say.
Nicole says that she does agree with you. Clay says his Facebook IG post yesterday, everyone is busy. Not everyone, hold on a second. Everyone is busy, not everyone is productive, is what he said. He says he must respectfully disagree concerning eating certain foods and the attitude of schools. Love the view, not to practice. Great commentary. Not really sure where the disagreement is. I would love, Clay, if you make it a little bit more plain than that, because I was the kid that would sit at the table. I'm not eating that. So I will sit here, and I remember, I remember the house getting cleaned up around me, you know, because I'm not eating that. I don't want that. I'm not eating that.
So-
And then I find out that my mama don't like vegetables anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so, hey man, I might get in trouble, but it's true. She don't like vegetables, but she made me eat them. And guess what? I love vegetables, and she doesn't. Go figure. Cousin Tony knows exactly who I'm talking about because he's Cousin Tony. He says, "Hey everybody, what it do when it takes a village went out the village? When it takes a village went out the window, things went haywire. Don't chastise my child. Babies having babies, etc., etc. Spanking is part of good parenting." I have an interesting perspective on that. You know, uh, I just I struggle with it because a good pop here and there to a small child, commensurate with the shock of don't do that. I don't necessarily have a problem with, but screaming at your child and certainly expletives. I've been cussing since I'm about 8 years old. And I learned how to string them good ones together too when I was young. But I didn't do that with my kid. You know what I'm saying? I speak freely around her as she's gotten older, but I wasn't one that did the screaming at my kid thing. My father was James Evans, my mama was Claire Huxtable. So, I grew up in that kind of house. I don't know if that's how they would see them. That's how I see themselves. That's how I saw them, and I got those 2 spankings, and that I feel that I probably deserved in the moment. Starting fires and stealing, pretty good reason to get ass whooping. So we're not talking about beating the child to the point where there needs to be a phone call to social services or even a hospital, but a tap on the leg to let them know, hey, I'm here. And that was not okay, depending on the child, because I also think that it should be child dictated, because some child you can talk and you can talk and you can talk and you can talk, you can take and you can take and you can take and you can take and do the things that you would think would be on par with getting a reaction out of them. Sometimes a tap on the leg, you got the attention.
So let me ask you. So we are all products of, 60s, 70s, 80s, right?
Absolutely.
Are we? Oh, yeah, I think so.
No, it's not. It's not. Flip it back on. It's not on.
It is on.
Okay. Switch for a
Okay,
second.
wait. No, see it for now.
Yeah, switch for a minute while I switch with him for a minute while I get you some batteries. Go ahead, Steph. Make your point.
When we start talking about, yeah, some kids need discipline. Every child needs discipline. I'm just saying that most people who I love, maybe we'll just call me lucky. I have 2 good humans. Haven't really been in a space of where I've wanted to grab a belt and beat somebody who looks like me, and I've told them I love them their whole lives, and I've said I'm going to be your biggest protector, and so on and so forth. But for all the beatings that happened in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, why are we not a crime-free society since everybody swears it's the thing that's going to curb you? Beatings, it's not mutually exclusive, and I'm talking about it, thank you, from a perspective of how it's being presented. Like, well, some children need it because it's the only way to curb it, and we seeing how some of these kids are, they don't listen. And I'm like, plenty of people who got their asses whooped sitting in jail. It's not the deterrent you think it is what I'm saying. It is not the deterrent you think it is.
It's just not as big a deterrent as the promotion of crime. Crime is a promoted construct designed by this country because the institutionalized jail system is a multi-billion-dollar thing. So you got to make criminals to put them in jail. So just because you say people are not responding to beatings, they're just responding harder to the program to commit crime.
Well, then again, they're still in the situation of where they're actually committing the crime.
Let's go back to this.
You are not. You're not redirecting
maybe they're committing crime, but maybe they're not talking back to their mother, and maybe when they come home they got some manners, right? And maybe they know to not talk family business outside the house, or whatever you setting down in the house. Maybe they're following those rules, but when they go out in society and things are constructed in such a way that crime is what they find as an escape or as a reason to get out of the situation they're in, and they commit the crime, I don't think those two things are compatible, because some people will discipline their child, but they criminals too.
I think I think at the end, and I just stand 10 toes down, or I just feel like, and it's sad for me often that the demographic of children that bear the, and here's the interesting thing. When I read a lot of things that people are talking about when they talk about toxic parenting, a lot of millennials are reflecting on their parents as ain't shit. A lot of them are. You see it all the time. I'm not gonna, I ain't respecting them. They gotta earn my respect. And yeah, now that's why your kids don't want to talk to you, and this and that. And it's not always that the parent is terrible. I'm just saying that you can look at the stress in our society. You can look at the conditions in which many people are living, primarily in marginalized communities. And if you are willing to release what you were taught is the only way to do something, or is the proper way to do something, and you step back, you can see that the terror you are going through is being perpetuated in the way that you are disciplining or monitoring your children. And if you can't stop for a moment and look at that, it becomes problematic. At the end of the day, I think the thing that makes it saddest for me is that the majority of the children that are going to experience that are going to be Black and brown.
Yeah, I can dig it. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Our sister Sheila Battle, peace to you, and peace to Frank and the family and everybody. Y'all are wonderful people. When we stop raising kids in community, we lost something valuable. It's sad and it's costing us in every area of life. I think that's a good spot to leave it there. Ain't no half Steppin, Marcus J, live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. And thank you to those folks letting us know that Steph's mic was down. So we caught it instantly, but the people was on it.
Yes.
Yeah, they on it. They like she's saying good stuff. She's saying good stuff. Fix up mic, Marcus.
And again, I do want to say something, right?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? I love it. Thank y'all.
Yeah,
man. And I do want to say
man.
this. The topic is brought up really to make people think about things. I'm not saying that, every single one of your parents were terrible, or you're terrible, or this, that, and the other. I'm saying I'm challenging you to think differently about how you engage with the people you say you love. And remember that the thing you're doing to them, if I did it to you, I'd go to jail.
Yeah.
Is that the thing you want to be doing to your child? Just ask yourself.
We need to think about it. And that's the thing. And I appreciate your point. Even in disagreement, what it does, it makes people think. That's the point.
You got it. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. All right. So first time, hold on. One more comment. Let me get in here. Nicole says, I know good parents who didn't spank their kids. They turned out to be in jail. So there are lots of different ways that we could spin this. At the end of the day, I think I think, yeah, John is saying it matters that we're talking. I also know good parents who didn't spank their children wound up in jail. I know people who spanked their kids and they wound up in jail. I know people who spanked their kids and they wound up great. I know all of those varieties and combinations that we can come up with here. But I think the heart of the matter is
It's
one
not
of
the
the
way
points
it
that's
is,
what
but
you
it's not
said,
about
Steph.
what the
Like,
outcome is, the
do I really
emotion.
want to teach the person who I birth that I reward bad behavior with violence towards
That's it.
them as someone who spent all day, every day, all day, every day, all day? I love you. I love you. I love you. You did something wrong. Whop! I get it. I get it.
If I walked up
And
to your child and was like, and they like say, kids will do things when you're in public. Sometimes, like a little kid walked up to my table one day when I was going out, and y'all know I'm not really kid friendly anymore.
yeah,
I love my kids, but I'm like, I don't know about yours. And he came over and he put
yeah,
his
I'm definitely
hands.
I'm open about that.
He put his hands in my plate. Right? He did.
The kid?
Yeah, because his parents were letting him wander because they were tired, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I get a minute to eat. And he put his hands right up on my plate. And if I had said, your effing hands on my plate and hit him, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, no.
But if he did it to you, I mean, just
Yeah.
think about the irony. I'm the person at the highest level of my child's life. I'm the person he looks at or she looks at as the most wonderful or most powerful or most impactful. And I'm doing things to them that from any stranger would look like abuse. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I can
Doesn't matter the outcome. It's what you're doing.
I can dig it. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio. It's about the message. That's one that I appreciate. I'm glad because I think it lends to a lot more conversation because there's different opinions here, but I think there's some validity. But I think the idea of because you was raised with it doesn't make it right, I think is a very valid point. That is a good spot to leave it with. Determine how your family should go and think about what you want to leave your kids with. You want to leave your kids with the spanking or the not spanking. I didn't spank my daughter. I didn't. Her mother didn't spank her. And I would argue that I got one of the best kids around. So, that's just what it is. I got 2 spankings early enough in my life that didn't affect my trajectory. The 2 spankings that I got didn't make me to be a wonderful person. It didn't turn me into a criminal. It didn't do really anything in the overall who I ended up becoming. I grew up with someone that you knew was capable of, giving you a nice one, but it wasn't something that we thought about. Like I didn't think, don't do that else I'm gonna get a whooping. There are certain friends that I grew up with who grew up with, don't do that or I'm gonna get a whooping. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't grow up with that.
Second guessing yourself, even if they're not
I-
smart enough to know if they should be doing
I
something.
I did not grow up with don't do that or I might get a whooping.
Also, just an FYI, just as a secondary note, as a kid who wasn't spanked a lot, but has a sibling who was whooped, it's traumatizing to the kid who's not getting the spanking. You start to feel like you're part
Survivor's
of
guilt.
Yeah. Like for instance, my brother's teachers would give me a note. We were at PS 92. I'll never forget. They would give me a note to give to my grandparents. And there would be times where I would take the note and drop it in the sewer on the way home because I didn't want to sit in the room and experience the whooping. It was traumatic. I love my grandparents, but it's traumatic to see somebody being beat with a utility belt out of somebody's work pants.
Yeah.
And the screaming, the yelling, and everything, while you're beating another kid, your other kid in the room is experiencing a side of you. They're watching you.
I had enough.
They're watching you.
I had enough watching my wife do my daughter's hair, and my daughter would scream like she was getting the beat down. And real talk, all bullshit
felt some
aside,
kind of
all
way?
bullshit aside, that shit's traumatic. To hear her scream so viscerally in pain, like I would imagine that there are those who ran from beatings from mom and dad and other family members, and that's something that I think that we should think about. It is the horror in a child. Like a child should never experience horror. Like a person should never experience
from
horror,
your
but a child from your parent, you should never experience horror and that level of fear. Now, I do think that every child should have a healthy fear of their parents.
I don't disagree. with
I
that.
do.
But that's called respect.
Yeah.
And if you
yeah,
build
yeah,
respect around it,
yeah,
you know, if you are respectable to your children, they typically
yeah,
that level of respect is, I don't want to even overstep with them, because one, I know there's consequences.
yeah,
The consequence might be that it's a heavy conversation, and I can literally make you feel bad
yeah,
about your choices by questioning you, putting you in the position to have to relive it. Why do I've seen relationships where a spouse is caught in an entanglement, and then that spouse does not want to sit with the other spouse and answer the real questions for why this happened, because it's traumatic
yeah.
to go through and have to answer for it and have to answer for the behavior, and look at your wife or your husband and admit to this, and so on and so forth. If that's traumatic, imagine how traumatic it is for a child looking at the person they love to hear them saying, "I'm very disappointed.
Yeah.
You're better than this." But really, all you're teaching them is, better than a strap.
Yeah, they don't have
Slave
Steph Marcus
master.
J live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. First time of the night, I'm gonna get to say my corny line. Y'all ready for me to say my corny
That's
line?
right.
Let us move on.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want to talk about the Titanic and what happened.
Ocean Gate.
Ocean Gate, the Titan is the name of the craft that was an Ocean Gate. An Ocean Gate is the name of the company, and Titan is the name of the craft. I want to talk about this really honestly. Actually, before I go to that, let me get Sue's comment in. I got the one belt. My mother was a hard popper, quickest hands in
Hard
Brooklyn,
papa.
but it brought me back. I could dig it. I am one that has always been fascinated by the Titanic. I was fascinated by the Titanic before the 1997 James Cameron movie. Like I've always, which is the reason why I was so excited to see that movie in 1997. I remember that marathon weekend. My wife and me were still dating at the time. We went to go see Titanic and Amistad in the same weekend. About 7 hours in the movie theater. Yeah, in the movie theater. But I've always had a bit of a
opposite of one another.
yeah,
Two
yeah,
ships.
yeah.
Strangely different outcomes.
Yeah, but if you go back and you look in 1997, they were out at the same time. We legit went to the movies back to back days. But anyway, I've always had somewhat of a fascination with the Titanic because I was fortunate enough to go on cruises as a young person. I've been fortunate. So I remember being on boats, and I remember thinking about cruise ships the first time for Titanic, first time I went on a cruise ship and that sort of thing. And I didn't worry about it. I did get ocean sickness. It was pretty horrible. Summer of '89 when Pops fell in love with Bobby Brown. Every night, put on that Bobby Brown. He get mad at me if he heard me tell y'all that. But now y'all know it's out. Y'all should have seen him. He wanted me to put that joint on every night on the ship. But the point being, I ain't never, ever been fascinated enough to say, look here, man, I got 250K. Matter of fact, let's make it commiserate with what someone in the middle class might have. Think about your most aggressive vacation, middle class people. I don't know your money, so I'm not going to get in your money. I'm not going to get in your money.
5 Gs.
But I figure 5 G's, all right. 5 G's. You got it, but it hurt a little bit to give it up. But it's something you want to do, so you gonna put up your 5 G's to do it. A cruise, basically. Vegas. All y'all running out to Vegas like it's like it's Virginia Beach.
Wait. For our community, Tulum.
Yeah. For all of y'all doing it, 5K. Yeah, I got 5K, but I ain't got it, man. And I'm not gonna put something on it. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing. I thought it was strange, but two of the people. Now you had the owner of the company who was managing the unit with a PlayStation joystick that he had been told not to use.
It was a Dreamcast controller.
That he had been told. He had been told, don't do this. This ain't cool. Don't do this. it's not the right thing. The safety things ain't right. It's like, nah, we good. Nah, we
gosh.
good. And
When you say it
CBS,
like that,
and CBS, because I'm translating and I'm saying this in our language. Like, I got to talk to us how we talk. The damn all the legal bullshit. Like, fuck all that. Talk about this, how this really went down. Yo, I'm got this PlayStation joystick, Dreamcast, whatever. I got this PlayStation joystick that I'm going to use to go 2.5 miles to the ocean's floor, where you can get crushed before you get halfway down, and it's pitch black within an hour. Like, I'm thinking about that, and I'm putting all of this on the table. Now, I'm not one to clown people dying. I'm not one that's going to create and share these memes that we're seeing, because I think that's not cool. I think it's not cool to celebrate people dying. I think it's not cool to celebrate the fact that people have perished because of their own bad decisions. I think just because you made a bad decision and you died does not mean that it's okay for people to clown you because you died. I think you dying is what makes it not cool. If you tripped and fell because you did something stupid, yeah, I'm gonna stand over you and laugh at you and say, ah. But if that same trip and fall results in your death, I think I might pull that back. That's just me. I think it's in poor taste to make fun of people whose poor decisions caused their death. While I understand, as a black person, we gonna clown you
Even
for
if
the
it was
smallest
Donald
thing,
Trump?
even if it's Donald Trump. I don't care who you are. I'm not one that's ever gonna be okay with making fun of people when death is an end result, regardless of how we got here. Even if you deserved it, even if you did something stupid, like these people clearly did. Yeah. I mean, because we can speak on that. We can talk about how dumb it was to get in the boat or this vessel that had not been fully safely vetted. Now, getting back to the people that was on it, you had the owner of the company, you had a father and a son. I'm not really talking about those three yet. I want to talk about the British dude and the French dude, who are both explorers who have been to the bottom of the ocean, both of them many, many times.
The French explorer, 28 times.
Yeah, the first time he went down there was 2 years after they found the wreckage in 1986. Yeah. He went down there in 1988. 28 times since then.
Not on that thing. He has gone on real expeditions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which one of them, but one of them went to the Mariana Trench. Now, for those who don't know what the Mariana Trench. For those who don't know what that is, the Mariana Trench is in the Pacific Ocean. For perspective, down to the Titanic, 2.5 miles down. Jersey City people, that's the hill to Newport.
That's crazy.
That's the hill to Newport, Jersey City people. Richmond people, that's the fan to I would say downtown. The fan to downtown, maybe a little further. The fan to Churchill. The fan to Churchill. Perspective, not literal. Yeah. So
City Hall to Arthur Ashe.
City Hall to Arthur Ashe. Fair enough, right? Far. Mariana Trench is 6.5 miles. 6.5. Mariana Trench. Keep saying it wrong. Mariana Trench, 6.5 miles down, and one of them two dudes went there. So in his mind, he's probably thinking, I'll be back. Ain't the big deal.
I guess you do it so much.
You do it 28 times over a 35-year period. Yeah. And you going down there once every year and a half. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it probably wasn't a thing to him. So I want to make sure that those clients, you done for doing it? You done for doing it? Like those people, I need you to understand that. Like you need to understand, like this wasn't something that was unfamiliar to these people. And the last piece I'll say, because I want to get all of this out, because I'm not going to speak on this again. Y'all going to get it back, and then we're going to finish the last two things that we need to do. So make your comments. We're not going to double up. Just make our comments, and we're going to get out of it. John, you behind me. Steph, you got the last comment on this. But broke people don't understand rich people. You just don't understand how somebody that's a billionaire could drop $250K on something like this. Because that's one of the things that I'm seeing us talk about. You broke. You don't got $250K. You don't know no better. You don't know what it's like to have enough money to say, you know what? I think I want to go in outer space. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in outer space. There ain't no shade for nobody. But let's just be clear. You don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know what you're talking about, right? You don't. Now, is it dumb to me? I'm not dropping 250K to the bottom of the ocean, but I'm not an explorer. And I'm also not someone.
That's a good point.
I'm not somebody that's doing that.
You're not an over
I'm not going to Montana to see Yellowstone. I'm gonna watch it on TV. You know what I'm saying? I did certain thing. I'm not going to the Grand Canyon. You know what I'm saying? I seen it from Arizona, but I'm not going into it. I'm not an explorer. That's not my life. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I sound crazy when I speak on things that I cannot understand. Having said all of that, I still think that that type of risk is, especially when you got kids, bro. Dude took his kid with him. You know, I was talking to Pops J. John, you got the con here. I was talking to Pops J, and that was his biggest deal. You took your kid with you. I can want to do all kinds of crazy stuff, but I can't take my kid with me. Mama J and me had been talking from when she was the youngest of the young. We're going to skydive when you get grown. We're going to skydive when you get grown. That was the thing. We're going to skydive when you get grown. Now that she grown, I don't think I want to skydive with my kid, because if something goes wrong, I'm responsible for whatever happens. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that I want to be responsible for putting my child in a situation where death could be imminent or certainly likely. I did not hear that thunder. John, you got the con.
And it just told me 2 miles away.
So I say this. I know a little bit about seafaring vessels, right? And the biggest thing is redundancy, right? Any kind of seafaring vessel, there's redundancy. Excuse me.
It's a submersive.
Right. So you got to have 2 engines, two everything, and sometimes 3. What that ship had, it was ill-equipped. The people who had the experience, they should know better, right? They should know better. They shouldn't have been on that ship. That ship was a piece of shit. How that happened, I don't know. I done seen the video down the Titanic that truthfully ain't even the Titanic. You know, that ship that's at the bottom there, they went down to it. They saw it. I saw the video. I'm good. I ain't got to go. Would I go on a submarine to see some other shit? Yeah, I might go on a submarine, but it's
I gotta ask you, man. I was gonna let it go, but I can't.
When you know say give him the con, are you saying give him the conspiracy?
How you know it wasn't the Titanic?
Because
I just rolled my eyes.
Because the ship maker made 2 identical ships. They switched the name. It's known. They switched the name before they sent it out for they get the insurance.
So the boat that went out wasn't the actual Titanic?
Yeah, the actual Titanic stayed in, but they got the insurance off of it.
Got it.
Right? But ship maker made identical ships. But my point is, they got a video on that. I don't need to see that. And if I'm going in a submergible, if I'm going in a submarine, trust, it's going to have the USS on something on the side of it, right? And it's going to have a contained nuclear engine, right? With a 4-star chef that does 6 meals a day, because that's just, you understand what I'm saying? Like that's what you do if you're gonna go down in the ocean. You understand? If you're gonna go under the water, they getting ready to go to space now to go to the quadrillion-dollar asteroid to try to get some diamonds and shit. Good luck with that. You know, there's still too many places on this planet that I haven't seen for me to go someplace else right now. I don't think I'm gonna make it. When I got a trip for France that's gonna cost me almost 6 figures. But guess what? I'm gonna do it
safely.
Right? I'm gonna do it. And yeah, people used to say things like that about getting on an aeroplane. Right? But guess what?
Aeroplane.
More people die on bicycles than in aeroplanes.
So Reynaldo says, come on, Marcus, it's absolutely hilarious. They went to see a shipwreck remains and they end up becoming a part of the shipwreck. See, it's comments like that I'm lamenting. And while it may sound funny and be tongue, like I dig the humor. It's
more ironic.
I dig it. I dig, the humor that you're trying to get. But my whole point is that's just not funny to me. Like, I get the tongue in cheek. I'm not throwing shade at the comment. That's not funny to me. It's not funny to be clowning people that died, no matter how stupid they were in the course of their death. People die in stupid ways every day.
Yeah.
This just was on the news. Steph, your comment.
So, the big thing for me is I may take a certain level of risk with me, but I will not take that same level of risk with my child. And, kids will do things or go somewhere with you or something just to please you. And the aunt of the boy who was on there said he was scared before he went. The mother said he was excited. I just think the risk, and right away it's like, I don't want to be responsible for the death of my child in something like this. And I think the major thing for me looking at this, I agree with you, Marcus. $250,000 when you don't have it, it does. It's like, that's crazy. What are you doing? The man and the son that were on there have one of the largest petroleum and like multi-tiered based companies in India. This was a drop in the bucket to him. What I look at closer is everything is so regulated, and this didn't have to be. Like, we literally have the FDA getting involved in and getting in the way sometimes of treatments that would be effective, for everything from cancer to ADHD, because it's not something they approve of, but we're okay. It just shows you how a level of wealth can manipulate any situation. There were people from submersible companies that were like, this thing is a joke. It's not going to be able to withstand the pressure. And he literally was like, oh, you guys are just people that don't take a risk. They own submersible companies. And he said that. Now, I don't think there's anything funny in the way that they died. I think it's tremendously sad, and it happened so quickly. It's not even like you might be able to rectify your emotions with it. If it's like, wow, they got to make it down there, this and that. They were dead pretty quickly on Sunday after they went down there. And I don't think it's funny, but I do think there's a very interesting thing about death tourism in America. And it tends to be among a very specific class of people, where, visiting mental asylums that are abandoned, and they say they have ghosts in them, or turning plantations where people were killed and murdered and raped and lynched into wedding venues. Right? That is the nature of some people, is that death tourism and trauma tourism is what they get off of. I am perfectly comfortable watching a quick documentary, learning what happened historically. I don't need to go down to the watery grave and see what's present. And it just says a lot about what we're willing to spend money on. But again, maybe that's me and my 1,000-year life.
Yeah. we
Maybe that's it.
we middle class folks, and I'm assuming that's the demographic that we all share. We don't know what it's like to live in certain communities that we don't live in. Perhaps we have had situations where we struggled, perhaps, but I don't know that any of us have experienced severe. Probably doesn't fit with where I'm going with this, but extreme, probably richness or wealth. I mean, we've been okay. We've done the things that we want to do, but that level of wealth sustained for a long period of time. I listen to Tracy Marrow every day. You might know him as Ice-T. He has a podcast called The Daily Game.
I get the alerts now
because of me.
That's right.
Hey, girl. Hey.
That's right.
And today's Daily Game was on point for this, and I'll take this last word, and I'm gonna shift us into the last two topics before we rant and close and get out of here. But today, the topic was money doesn't solve everything, and it's crazy when you hear that coming from someone that has money. But the analogy that he gave, because I think he's a very smart man. Ice-T, I've been a fan of his since the '80s. I've always loved Ice-T, and I have enjoyed watching the different incarnations of his career similar to people like Dana Owens and James Todd Smith and Will Smith and folks like them use their real names. O'Shea Jackson use their real names on purpose for a reason, and that's why I refer to Tracy Morrow, because I've watched them from the 80s through the 90s and to the present evolve. As I've gotten older, they've gotten older. One of the things that he said in his podcast, look it up, y'all, Ice-T's Daily Game,
It's good.
where he might give you a jewel in 2 to 5 minutes.
I think
and
the
that's
longest
it.
I've experienced is 8 minutes now, based on what
if that, and most of that's commercials.
Yes.
So, but today, the one I listened to, I don't know if it came out today, but the one I listened to today, money doesn't solve everything. And the gist of it, and the analogy that he gave was, just because you got a problem doesn't mean that money has anything to do with it. You see a lot of rich people, or most miserable people that you know. What money does is it gives you options. Say you got somewhere to be. If you ain't got no money, you got to walk. You got a little bit of money, got to get a skateboard. A little bit more, maybe a bike. A little bit more, perhaps you get on a bus or a train or whatever. You see where this is going.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Money will give you options. The problem remains, you got to get where you're going. You see what I'm saying? So money will give you options. Obviously, those folks without a lot of money will roll their eyes and potentially scoff at that idea. But the point is, money isn't everything. There are plenty of people with very little that are very happy. And we have seen precedent for people with a whole lot not being happy. You see these rich people doing certain things. So anyway, I don't want to get too far off the beaten path, but that was the point of that. James says spending hundreds of thousands to sign away liability to your life on an under regulated adventure is absolutely unbelievable to me, and I agree with you. No disagreement, no argument, no nothing. John, you got the last word, seeing as though you want to double dutch in. Go ahead,
So,
be brief though,
real
because I want to
brief.
move us on.
First thing,
doesn't lend to briefness.
Money is
long story short.
Yeah, be brief, because it's 9 o'clock.
When you get a whole lot of money, you don't even need options, because you could always go, I don't have to do anything. So that's a whole lot of money. I
ain't got to do nothing now. I ain't got a whole lot of money. I don't agree at all with that.
Right. No. But I'm saying that could be the option.
Okay.
The option is like
fair enough. Fair enough.
When you got fucking money, it's different.
That's definitely
So
that
now,
I agree with.
So now there was a flat earther guy who wanted to prove the earth was flat, and he got his flat earth ass into a balloon and went up real high, and he came down real fast and he died. I don't wish death on nobody. Coming back from, I wish everybody to have a long, productive, and happy life. Everybody on the planet, including Donald Trump. I want him to have a long, productive, happy life. I really do. I don't wish him no bad. I wish nobody no bad.
Yeah, that part of my life is over.
When the consequence of your actions show up, my empathy basket is real light. I just don't got enough to spread on you when you, like I said in my thing, like, yo, come on, how you getting on a boat that ain't that? How you getting on a submergible that ain't submergible?
I agree with you. I agree with you. The way, hey, look, as I said before, I will in fact take the last word on this one. I'm over this on. Like the way my piece is set up, it does not lend to me finding any kind of joy in anybody else having pain, drama, trauma, or any of that kind of stuff, including those folks who I don't fuck with. I don't fuck with Donald Trump. I think his peoples wear goofy ass red hats, all of them, and I think they are amongst. And I'm not saying this with shade. I'm saying this because Big Rube, former co-host of the show, did a whole study on it 10 years ago when we talked about the folks in this country with the lowest IQ. The lowest IQ, those people vote Republican. The people with the lowest IQ. And this was broken down to zip code, where you people live. This wasn't a shade-based study. Like, he did the work. And the people with the lowest IQ vote Republican. And the people in the poorest areas of our country vote Republican.
Easily.
These are the Trump supporters. So, like, we know who they are. we know who they are. They the slow friend that you pat on the head and you keep it moving. Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus J live from NewDen
Little last minute
Legacy
shade.
Internet
And
Radio.
out the
Hey, look,
door.
I'm a Gemini. I say all that nice peace and love shit, but for real, I will
No,
flip a
normally it's
table
me, but
whenever
the two of y'all
necessary.
been shading tonight.
Yeah,
Talk
well,
about holes and leggings and bonnets, and now you talk about the Drool Patrol
and the goofy
patting
red
on the
hats.
head.
Because they do look goofy in them red hats, like Red Sox fans. Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus J.
Oh,
They wear
such
goofy
a
red hats
Yankee
too.
statement.
They
More
wear goofy.
shade.
They wear goofy
Yankee
red hats too.
statement.
Red Sox and Trump fans.
I'm gonna save mine for the rant. Okay.
So let us move on. Steph,
Yeah.
I need to know organically. I didn't ask you. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this.
Oh gosh.
And John, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but you at least get the benefit of thinking about it while Steph organically just spits out the answer to the question. What moment did you fall in love with hip hop? When did you fall in love with hip hop? Hip hop? Did you know? Did you know in that moment that you were falling in love with hip hop?
Yes.
What was that moment? What was happening? Who was it? What was the thing, situation? When did you, Steph, fall in love with hip hop? John, you up next. I will close us out, and then we will do the final picks of our draft. Let's be brief in our remarks here because we are, in fact, running out of time.
When I got this cassette tape, and I was this was before they started putting labels on things, I think, because I was able to well, my older cousin on my mother's side got it for me, but I got this cassette tape. I put it in my boombox. I listened to it, and by the end of the night, I knew every single word. I just knew this is it. This is different. This is the thing. And it was, I believe, 86 maybe. And it was Hot, Cool, and Vicious. I learned every word. I'll take your man. Right? I mean, I just was, right after that, it was like I needed to know every word that Sandy and Cheryl and Deidre were gonna say. My first real haircut was a salt and pepper. Had lots of thick hair, and I went chopped it off because I needed to look like them with the high low mushroom and the feathered bangs, and they were the impetus for my 8-ball jacket. And I remember, I think I might have been like 9 years old. I learned every single word. And I just knew I would never go back. I'd heard hip hop plenty before then, but that was the first time that it struck a chord with me and made a realization that it belongs to me too.
Yeah.
And I mean, hot, cool, and vicious.
Hot, Cool, and Vicious. It's an
Yeah.
awesome story. 1987, I
6
think
or
that.
7.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
Summer 1976.
Okay.
75. It is one of the two. I can't remember.
For my birthday.
There was a park in the
OG
neighborhood
in
I
the
grew up
house.
in. We call it BCM Park, but the true name was Briar Park. Call it BCM for Brooklyn Children's Museum.
My part.
It was a Briar Park, and in that park they had an amphitheater, and DJs would rig up to the lights and do parties and stuff. And one early night on a Saturday, I'm out there because as kids back in the day we had no fear, and I had a little tape recorder, the one that used for dictation, but that's what we had. So I had a tape recorder, and I went out there, and I forgot the DJ's name. I think it was I forget the name of the sound and everything, but there was an MC, and his name was Stevie D. And I watched Stevie D turn that park into like an arena, and he walked on top of speakers. And as a kid, I thought they were giant speakers, but they weren't. He walked on the speakers. He did his rhymes. I recorded it, and it was amazing. I went home and I played it, and couldn't believe it. And one of the lines I remember, he said in one of his rhymes, if If it don't sound like Eddie Chiba, which was a big DJ in the
Eddie
time,
Shiva.
it must be Stevie D. And that really, from that point on, that's like, yo, I gotta be this guy. I gotta be this guy.
Yeah.
And I started after memorizing everything he said, I started creating my own stuff. And then it was block parties and everything, and it was that was it for me from there. 1976. It was 76 before the blackout. Blackout was what, 77?
77.
Yeah, so it was
Blackout was
76.
77. Yeah.
So it was 76.
That was
So it
also the summer of Sam.
yeah. So it was real. 1976. And guess what? What I fell in love with wasn't hip hop. It was the b-boy.
The
It was the
B-boy.
life.
It was
Hip hop didn't come around to 1980. Writer in the Village Voice deemed it hip hop based on the fascination of Rapper's Delight.
Village Voice.
And
Yeah.
I used
James.
to feel like somebody reading the Village Voice.
Oh yeah, you listen. First of all, it was free if you knew where to get it, not $1, and you could really
Everything was in there.
on the subway with that in your hand. You was cosmopolitan as hell.
Yes.
James
Yes, I
actually.
was young reading it.
James
yeah.
says Sugar Hill Gang, period, as the youngins say today, period.
Period.
As you're saying, rappers are like, he's saying that ain't no hostile Marcus J. So I'll take the final word on it. For me, it's 1984. It's the Fat Boys. It's the first time I hear the human beatbox. And it's an actual song, human beatbox. Put it up, stick 'em, ha ha ha, stick 'em, put it up, stick 'em, ha ha ha. And I remember going to Stan's record store on Bergen Avenue in Jersey City. Stan's record store on Bergen Avenue in Jersey City, obviously long defunct, but that was where you went in them days. And Stan was an old Jewish white man that knew as much about hip hop or more about hip hop than we did.
The original Leo Cohen.
when we would go in there to buy stuff, he would tell you, get this gonna be hit, and he'd always be right. So anyway, I go in the stands, I buy the Fat Boys on cassette tape, and as Christopher Wallace would always say, let my tape rock till my tape pop. The Fat Boys was that record that I let the tape rock to the tape pop. So it's 1984, and my sister is about 5 years old, and she got a hold of my tape, and she took the tape and she goes, you know what just happened. Look at your reaction. All these almost 40 years later, you heard it from me, right?
Because I know what it's like to take that pencil.
And here's the thing, right?
I was about to say,
with the pencil, right? Here go the funny part, right? I don't think there's anybody in my family that remembers this, because whenever it comes up, I am met with a blank stare. And my sister, I give a little bit of leeway to, because she was 5. I don't expect her to remember. And part of the story that I'm leaving out that I get back to the present on is I remember looking at moms and pops going, all right, look what your kid do. Which one of y'all gonna run me my $7.99 back? Which one of y'all gonna
who get
run
a
me?
beating?
You know what I'm saying? I'm 10 years old. It's the first time I had actually spent my own money on music. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get your allowance, or I was an allowance kid. Some folks were allowed to be alive.
Bougie.
You know what I'm saying? But I got my little $3 or $4 a day, or a month, or a week, or whatever it was. And I remember going to stands with my own money. So when this happened, I remember very clearly looking at the elders like, "What y'all gonna do?" $7.99, and yes.
That's a lot of money.
We're getting legacy in that radio, not just alumni, but one of the original 7 is listening to us right now. Former co-host of this show, my brother Corey Powell, who is formerly known as Carlton Banks. Yeah, I called you out. It's been 11 years, bro. I can call you out your real name. And he is checking us out. He says, I'm still hurting over my $7.99. Yes, I'm still in my feelings over my $7.99.
Too bad you didn't know me,
Understood, bro.
because people used to bring tapes to me even when they popped. And I had the little because I always had glasses. So I had the little screwdriver set.
That you could.
I would take it apart, get some scotch tape.
I figured that out.
Put it
A
together,
lot of
spin
people
it,
would do
roll
that.
it back,
Yeah.
put it back. $2, man. $2,
I
man.
eventually figured out how to do that. Corey / Carlton just says yes. You can call me out. Yeah, it's been long enough, bro. We can reveal your alias. I think most
Clark
folks who
Kent.
are watching us knew Corey was called Banks anyway. But I love you, brother, and thank you for rocking, man. And we need to have chicken and beer soon. Ain't no Hastel Marcus J Live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. All right, so y'all ready to finish our draft? We
Yes.
still got some draft picks to make. And we have gone through, and for those folks who potentially may be just listening to the show, we have done our NBA Legends draft, where we have drafted our starters, and now we need to draft our 3 reserves each. Okay. And just for a recap, John and Steph were not as fortunate as I was. I got to pick first because I'm wonderful. They all right. I just threw shade and neither one of them said
I ain't gonna
anything.
say nothing
I
because I
just
got
threw
my
shade and
list.
neither one of
I
them
got my
said
list. I'm
nothing.
like, I ain't we gonna
When
say.
I throw
Let me-
shade, I need a rest.
Let me
No,
explain.
no,
Let me
I'm
explain
focused on
something
my.
to
I
you.
got my list
Let
right
me
here.
explain something to you, bro.
You ain't throwing me off my game.
Sir,
When you're
sir,
the
sir.
son, you can't be shaded.
Oh,
Okay, we gonna let go.
I will let that go
I don't
because
care,
that was
let go.
good.
You let
That
go.
was good.
You gotta let go.
All right. So here are the starters. Marcus J. Marcus J chose LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas, and Karl Malone. It's the starting 5. John has chosen Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Larry Bird, Tim Duncan, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Steph has chosen Dennis Rodman, Allen Iverson, Robert Parrish, Kevin Durant, and John Stockton. And Marcus,
Say
with
what you want.
the
My team
next pick,
covers the floor. Wow.
the next pick for the 6th man coming off the
I
bench,
can't stand you.
Kobe Bean Bryant. Kobe
you know what?
Bean
Your
Bryant.
picks are so
Kobe
obvious, bro.
Bean Bryant. Kobe, the Black Mamba. John, who you got, man?
For my 6th pick,
Yes.
I'll take Mr. Kevin Garnett.
KG.
Ah,
Ah.
I can't stand you.
Steph.
Let me go ahead and take KG off my list.
Yeah, you got to take him off your list because John took him.
Took him. For my next pick, the 6th man, Mr. Flyaway himself, Indiana Pacer, Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller was
Put
on
him
my
on the
list. You
list.
got Reggie, one of
Put
the
him on
one of the
list.
few legends, non-Knicks that I love. Reggie
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though he gave us heat all the time.
Okay.
Love Reggie Miller.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
It's hard.
Corey's asking, how did we not pick Kobe earlier and whatnot?
God,
So
I didn't want to go for the
You know
obvious.
how? Listen to the names that got picked.
yeah, the next pick, the greatest
everybody's
shooter
available.
in the history of the NBA. Ain't nobody never shot better than Steph Curry. Nobody.
Where are your legends?
Nobody.
Who are the people that are actually going to share the ball?
John,
You ready?
who you got?
Jesus Shuttlesworth. Shuttlesworth.
He said, I take your Steph Curry and I
Not Jesus
show you.
Shuttlesworth.
Should I write Jesus Shuttlesworth or should I write Ray Allen?
Either one.
Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah.
I love Ray Allen. Though.
Yeah.
I love that smile too. Yes,
Yeah.
Ray Allen. How you
So,
doing?
I
That
didn't
release is
I didn't
on
hear that
point.
thunder.
From anywhere.
I didn't hear no thunder.
From anywhere.
I
You didn't hear
ain't hear no thunder.
You need help, bro.
No.
You good?
No, yeah.
All right.
I'm okay.
I got you.
You saw Ted. You need to sing the thunder song.
No, I'm good. I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. All right. So I'm just enjoying y'all, man. This is fun to me. So
Kevin
Steph, who
Allen.
you got? You
know what,
got
I'ma
one?
go back. I gotta have another big guy in the middle.
Yeah.
You took Shaq. I was looking at him. I went with Parrish first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a little snowman on my team. Dirk, where you at?
Okay.
Put Dirk on there.
Okay.
I'm gonna remember this because I gotta ask you a question.
Dirk
and you didn't pick somebody I thought you was gonna pick.
Dirk
Okay.
on my team.
Okay.
Bring his black wife too.
All right.
He understands.
All right. Now I just looked at my list and I was going to take my sentimental pick. I'm not going to take my sentimental. I'm not going. You don't. You think you do, but you don't. Write on a piece of paper. Them stickies been flying away. Write it down on a piece of paper. I promise you, I'm not going to pick who you think that I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna tell you, this guy was my growing up. Me and K Dub used to always talk about this dude, and because of 1988, the dunk contest that he should have won, that he didn't win in Chicago because of home cooking. My favorite player of all time. My pen back. I need my pen. I am going to pick the legendary human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins.
I gotta get, nobody gonna take Zion. Zion got some. Nobody wants Zion right here.
This your last. This your last.
Ready?
I'm ready. Get your Mac. Just grab the mic.
I'm
Grandmama.
Grandmama. All right, you got Larry Johnson.
my
Okay.
dude.
Okay.
Made the center part a thing.
Steph, you got one more pick.
I have
You
a
got the
look.
final pick.
And my final pick is supposed to be it was my shooting guard, right? Or no?
Well, remember the final three. You can pick anybody you want.
All right.
Now, if y'all still got people on the
I
board,
got my little list.
we
here.
can go up to 10 if you want. If you can, we can stop at the 8 that we said.
I lost the forward when
I chose Dominique because of how great he is.
Well, no, when you took KG, I lost my forward. But I gotta say, the round mound's still out there. I'm gonna take it back to Philly.
You're taking it, Charles
the round
Barkley.
mound a rebound
Charles
on
Barkley.
there. Yes.
Respectful.
So when my man Rodman gets tired, which he never does, just want to say plays through every quarter full through, we're gonna put the big guy out there.
All right.
So
Put a few elbows.
I got
and
a
mouths.
question for my co-host here.
Okay. Which one of us?
How come neither one,
I
either
already
both of
know.
y'all? How come neither one of y'all get Pat Ewing?
I knew you were gonna say
Yeah,
that.
I know. I figured you
Because
was gonna say
I
that.
thought I knew you guys would say, of course you picked Ewing.
Yeah. I mean, I literally avoided Knicks.
I
I
mean,
did
listen,
too.
I
I did it on purpose.
avoided
because
I loaded on big men for a reason.
I
No,
put
y'all
John,
didn't get Ewing.
earlier I had John Stark on my list. But I even,
I avoided
there's
Knicks.
there's one particular Nick that if I had to pick, I would pick right now, and it would be the oak tree.
Charles Oakley.
Yeah, because I need a dude who's a little mean.
Yeah.
I need
Your
a
last
dude
pick
who's a
was
little-
that dude.
That's why I went there. Like, you know what? Forget it.
Your last pick was that dude.
That's
So
right.
all right. So our final
Spitting on
3
fans,
each. I took
nasty.
Kobe, Steph Curry, and Dominique. John took KG, Ray Allen, and Larry Johnson. Steph took Reggie Miller, Dirk, and Charles Barkley. Y'all good with y'all teams?
Yeah.
You want to pick a couple more? We good.
We good.
You
We
good?
I feel like my team. I feel like only the non-basketball, the people who don't understand basketball, are gonna ignore my team when John posts them all.
Well,
on social media.
most teams only gonna rotate 8 or 9 players anyway, even
That's
if you
it.
got a deep ass.
So
bench.
we don't need we need to give the people just enough to be able to make some decisions.
Honorable mention pick. One more.
Honorable mention pick. All right, let's do honorable mention
Go
pick.
ahead.
One more. Since you already said Ewing, I'm not going to choose Ewing.
Right.
He would be the person for me.
Yeah.
So instead of Ewing, I gotta have a Nick on team, and that Nick will be Carmelo Anthony.
Oh no, you are
Nobody.
not picking Carmelo.
Nobody. And when I say nobody scored more points in Madison Square Garden in one game than Carmelo Anthony.
There's no
How do I
doubt in
know? How do I know? Because I was in the building when it happened,
It
dog.
happened.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah, I'm bad. It's funny. It's funny. And Corey, I see you, and I'm not going to say it until we're finished, but I do see you. Who you got? Who you got, John?
I never eat
Honorable
at
mention.
Denny's and party like little pennies.
Penny Hardaway. Okay.
Anthony.
Yeah, that's a black
That's
ass
what
man.
it-
Anthony.
Your parents down in the country.
Anthony.
What was that boy name we
Hardaway.
like?
Anthony.
Anthony. Oh, we gonna do. Oh, we gonna name him Anthony.
Anthony. Last pick. Last honorable mention. Final pick is who you got, Steph.
I like this guy. He's had some recent controversy, but I like how smart he is. I'm gonna get the Greek freak out here.
Okay, you want Giannis?
Give me Giannis.
Okay, I'm gonna have
Give me
some,
Giannis.
I'm gonna have some trouble spelling it when I write it.
We just put the Greek freak.
Greek freak, you can spell that.
Kumpo. Yeah, ain't no half
Kumpo, yeah.
stepping with Marcus J Live from NewDen Legacy Net Radio. All right, so Corey says Zion got too many baby mamas.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing at
He
it.
said, "Where's Pippen?" Nobody said Scottie Pippen. He said, "Y'all killing us."
Y'all killing
He
us.
says, "Overrated penny pick and La La tastes like Cheerios." I have no idea how you would know that.
First of all, how come every time dudes want to go for at a dude's neck, they got to go for the woman?
Yeah,
Stop it.
yeah.
Lala don't got nothing to do with this.
I don't know how even in the joke you would know
not
that
a-
she tastes
yeah,
like
it's
Cheerios.
That was the whole big thing anyway.
Yes, and it needs to stop.
Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah.
This is how y'all know that I don't.
Oh,
be
you
knowing.
didn't know that was a thing?
No.
It's
Yeah.
the stupidity of when rappers want to go after another rapper, they
Oh.
got to talk about his wife, face,
Yeah.
faith in the midst of things.
Yeah, I don't live in
You
that
know,
world.
it's like, come
I
on.
don't live in that world.
Come
No,
on.
I don't like Cheerios anyway. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J Loud from NewDen.
Not
Legacy
even
and
the
everything.
honey nut.
I knew you were gonna say it. I knew you.
I don't like cereal. I don't. You know.
What?
I'm not a
You know
cereal.
what?
I'm not a
You know
cereal
what?
person.
He is
Well,
really
you
a
just
communist.
dropped the nut.
He's
Just
a
dropped the
communist.
nuts
How do you
down
not-
I'm
on
not
my
cereal
How
list.
do you
person.
not like the most unhealthiest shit in the world that they give?
Because
kids to eat them
because to get cereal, you gotta drink that nasty ass cow's milk.
like I said,
And
how
I
do you
don't
not
drink.
get
Oat
I
milk.
don't drink milk.
Well, I do.
I
I used
think
to drink milk with
I think
sandwiches.
I think that the statute of limitations on milk expires the moment your mama stops breastfeeding.
You don't
Listen,
need to say it.
from an intellectual standpoint, I 100% agree.
That is the
but
moment.
I drink milk a lot in my life.
The thought of it's puss, man. Oh my god, I don't want no milk. Oh my god, you want to talk about what grosses me out? Transparency. Woo! I don't like milk, y'all. All right. Anyway,
You know why chicken wings taste real good? Because they can't fly.
Stop it. That was a dad
tell
joke.
me-
And
tell-
guess what?
tell
And
me
guess
later.
what?
It was
And
a
get-
I don't
and
get
get-
it, so tell me
hold-
later.
hold- hold-
Dad joke.
And guess what else? Turkey wings too.
Can't stand them.
I can't either.
Birds that can't fly
Yeah.
taste the best.
You're a damn fool, yo. Corey wants to know, what did I eat as a kid on Saturday mornings? Chico sticks,
Pop-Tarts.
Pop Tarts,
Yeah, I know
you
Chico,
did.
Chico sticks, and what's the Reese's cups?
my
Just all
God,
kinds of
what's
stuff.
wrong with
So
you?
ain't no ask that Marcus J. Let's shift
I had
to
whole
our
breakfasts,
final
grits, eggs.
stages of the show. All right, so let's do some moments in Black history, right? And there's a few good ones. There's so many good ones. I'm not gonna read them all. I'm just gonna read the ones that I want to read, but not all of them. That makes sense? Yeah, it makes sense. All right. 1961, 10 interface riders go on trial being arrested for seeking service at segregated airport restaurant in Tallahassee and face a $500 fine or 30 days in jail. Go on trial after being arrested for seeking service.
How dare you?
1855, about 106 years earlier, Celia, a 19-year-old enslaved black woman whose middle-aged white owner repeatedly raped her since she was 14, kills him during an attempted rape and is later convicted and hanged. That sounds like something that's more common.
That's just
It sounds like something that was very common in it during those times, but the thought of it is just so outrageous.
I kind of don't, but where's the movie?
I mean, yeah, well, yeah. 2013, 10 years ago this week, Kimberly McCarthy becomes the 500th person executed by the state of Texas since 1972. More than half of those executed have been people of color. I don't really care for that phrase. I think there's a distinction that should be made.
Huge distinction.
I think there should be a distinction made between black people and other. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the other people of color, but I was gonna read another one, but that once I read that one, I was like, wah, wah, wah. All right, so I don't want to read no more of these. So let's go look for some kids, y'all. We always looking for Keisha Jacobs. I'm gonna lead with her. I'm never gonna be not looking for Keisha Jacobs. She's missing from right here in the Richmond area. If you've seen her, by all means, contact your local authorities. She's been missing for a few years. She's an adult, a young adult now. Last seen in Churchill on Broad Street. The person who was last seen with her was recently convicted of murder in another state, which kind of gives us an idea of potentially what may have gone on. We think she was met with foul play, but she's missing, and we just don't know. So if you have seen Keisha Jacobs, please contact the Richmond Police Department. We're also looking for Javon Fogg. He's been missing since June. About to do the June thing again.
Yes.
June 22nd, right here in the cap. He's 11, black male. He's 5', 80 pounds. Last seen wearing light tan khakis, red Crocs. Has a scar on the back of his head. If you've seen him, contact the Richmond Police Department at 804-646-5100. We are also looking for, let's see, I'm waiting for my computer to load. Iana Branch, missing since June 24th. Here in the cap, 17-year-old black female, 4'11", 115. Last seen wearing unknown description of clothing, goes by the nickname Yaya, requires medication and may be in the need of medical attention. If you've seen her, contact the Richmond Police Department at 804-646-5100. And then lastly, we are looking for one more missing child here in the Richmond area. Anthony Owen, since June 25th, 17-year-old black male, 5'11", 170. Last seen carrying a sky blue Jansport backpack. If you've seen any of them, contact the Richmond Police Department at 804-646-5100. Ain't no half step with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in the Radio. This is where we close out with our rant. This is where we close out with our closing. This is where I say nice shit about y'all. John, I love you. You got the con.
Love you too, bro. Thank you. Lately, I've been doing a new thing on my social media, Big John the Jeweler's Gem of the Day. And I just been, trying to pass on some words of encouragement, some interesting food for thought and different things in my own way for my social media family. People that know me outside of that, who know me for real, know that this has been a rough 18 months for me, like extraordinarily so. But I'm still loving the life that I'm living. But in retrospect and thinking about the things that I have endured, this society is not set up in a way that you are going to, under normal circumstances, do well. You have to find your way around. And I'm going to talk about the field of medicine for a minute. There are things that people know, physicians, caregivers know, that will make people healthy, that the FDA and other governing bodies will not allow. There's something called a macronutrition scan, where they test your blood to find out how your vitamins and minerals are balanced, right? 90% of ailment can be cured if your vitamins and minerals are balanced. If you have enough iron, enough zinc, enough magnesium, if your vitamin D is right, if your vitamin C, K2, B12, all of these things need to be in proper balance for you to have good health. But it is illegal for a medical doctor with a license to perform that. You have to go someplace else where they do it, right? And they could balance you with an IV for about an hour. Simple treatment like that make you healthy. But your insurance won't pay for it. You got to pay out of pocket, and it can get expensive. We speak about this young black woman scientist. I keep forgetting her name, and I feel bad. She's cured cancer with microbiology, with small little micro robots that they put into the bloodstream, and they trigger it with a laser light, like an infrared thing, and it eradicates cancerous blood cells. It works. It doesn't work a little bit. It worked for real, for real. They will not fund her, and they will not allow her. They will not allow people just to come to her and give her money to do it. They've threatened her with jail. And she's been on social media asking the community, the billionaire blacks, the Tyler Perrys, the Oprah Winfreys, and all them, nobody gave her a penny. This woman cured cancer. Right? And these people won't give her no money because they're afraid to lose their money if they give her some money. That's how serious it is, because the multi-billion-dollar industry of you being sick is what they want to do. You go, I tell people all the time, you go to the store, you want to buy a bottle of nice water with a pH balance of 7. The 16-ounce bottle is $2 and change, right? You want to buy a soda, which will kill you, liquid death, right? You can get 3 liters for 79 cents.
Oh.
Right? 3 liters of liquid death for 79 cents. But if you want a good drink of water, not even 16, 12 ounces, $2. A good water. Right? Even bad water is more than that. A 12-ounce bottle of bad water is $1. 7-Eleven. Right? But you can get 3 liters of liquid death for 79 cents at the supermarket. Right? You want to do something? How about this? Sugar tax. We tax cigarettes, right? Right? People kept buying them, tobacco industry. Let's do it on sugar. Cupcakes, sodas, anything with a sugar product, right? With some sugar in there, and even a bigger tax on high fructose corn syrup, because that's worse. Right? And all of that money goes into diabetes research and treatment for people. With the sugar tax, we could have health care for all. And not worry about the money. Because the food is killing us. The food and the environment is killing us, right? The power lines, people was all up in arms about the G5 boxes. You dummies. It was the power lines, not the G5 boxes. The radio signal on your cell phone is about as strong as the one on your remote control. Stop it. Right? But the power lines, they build communities directly in the power lines, and they know that the power lines give people cancer. Right? You got the Trump supporters in the Ozarks and in the Appalachians that water catch fire out the ground because of, not serious. The water comes up on their lawn, and if they put a match to it, it will catch fire because of methane gas that mixes in coming out of the collapsed coal mines and things, and fracking. Right? These are the things that are killing us, right? But we won't deal with those because killing us is making somebody a whole lot of money. I mean, a whole lot of money in your death. Right? And right now, everybody's talking about something real simple, right? Don't eat. Don't eat for 3 days. You know what happens? Your body produces new blood cells. It goes into starvation mode. It says, hey, I'm starving, so I need to make blood cells. You get new blood cells. You get new stem cells. You can fast. They have something else for cancer called focused ultrasound. Proven. It works. They take a sound wave. They hit your body with it. The cancer cell explodes and dissipates. It works. But you can't go anywhere and get it. You need it starts at $10,000. Right? So all of these things, know what you're facing, know what you're dealing with, and understand that right now you're in a system designed for you to fail. And I'm not just speaking to black people now, I'm speaking to white people too, and any other color, people of color, black people and white people, because black and white ain't in color. So everybody else, black and white and all the others, I'm talking to everybody, right? Your country, which is a great country, I love it. I wouldn't live any place else. Right? Well, how about this? I wouldn't have a passport from any place else. Right? But it's killing you. It's killing me. I'm fighting for my life right now. And it's killing the rest of y'all. And I'm trying to get people, even organic. It's not even organic ain't even really organic. The Food and Drug Administration just came up against Congress against the Supreme Court because they said you can't use the phrase health food on your stuff if it ain't healthy. And they was like, oh, come on, man. We can't say this is a health. We can't say this soda, this Red Bull is healthy. We can't say this other thing with all this sugar and chemicals is healthy. They said, no, you can't. And it's a battle right now on how they're labeling food. So keeping it short, because time is running. Just think about what's going on. Be aware, please, folks. Be aware. Like do some reading, do some research, and stop believing everything you hear on social media. Because most of the people, not all of them, but a good 95% of them are ass clowns. Don't know what they're talking about. Haven't been educated. And aren't intelligent off the rip. So that's too bad. An uneducated dummy is not who you want to listen to. So, check the sources of your information. Google these people. Find out that they didn't go to Dr. Vinnie Boo Bot School of Medicine when they telling you to drink bleach or boil coconut oil and pour it in your ear. And that's my rant for the night.
Hashtag Marcus J. NewDen. Legacy Internet Radio. John B. Johnning, man.
John B. Johnning.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, we done turned you into a whole verb, bro. Hashtag Marcus J. Live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Steph, I love you too, my sister. It's your turn. You got the con. Close us out.
Thank you both. As always, thank you for the hospitality in the den. The drink when I show up, the hard work you put into keeping it going, Marcus. I know you are OCD about how you manage the panel and everything else, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you both, and Mondays are always better because of you. I just want to, my rant today is about sincere apologies and knowing what they sound like. So I typically, not every rant is a note to self, but this really is a note to self. I've been told I compliment well and that I apologize thoroughly. And I try to, because I don't like my feelings hurt. But I'm also someone who's fairly opinionated. And when you are fairly opinionated, there are more opportunities to hurt feelings, because sometimes you're saying exactly what you think and the intention may not be one thing, but that doesn't matter. It's the outcome. Right. So I had an experience this weekend, midst of a great time. We started having a very spirited conversation about something particular. And my opinion was one that I know when I said it could hurt the feelings of someone else, not because it was anything about them, but because they felt the exact opposite. Something that makes them extremely happy does not make me extremely happy. And I was voicing why. And this person's a little more relaxed than I am. Southern girl, a little less hyphy than I am. And so my intention the tone may not be intentional. I try to pay attention. I just may be excitable in the moment, and I may say something. And once I said it and the conversation was going on, I realized that my opinion wasn't as important as the feelings of the other person. I liked and loved them too much for my opinion to really matter, because it was irrelevant. It wasn't anything that was going to move a goalpost. It was how we just felt differently about something. So in the moment, I removed myself from the conversation. I just, took a sip of my drink, was eating, and then we transitioned to something else. And I text the person late that night or early that morning, and I said, I need to apologize to you. And I said exactly what I'm apologizing for, because I wanted it to be clear to them what I knew or what I felt I had done wrong. So I didn't say, I feel like I owe you an apology. I said, I owe you an apology. I immediately owned it. Right. And when you work in the coaching space, you learn the anatomy of communications. You learn that communications aren't just about pretty words or the elaborate usage of them. It's communicating with people so that they can hear you and so that they understand that you heard them. And so I text this person. I said, I owe you an apology. I told them what I owe them an apology for. I apologized and said, I love you. And I'm going to call you later because I want to do this verbally. Because I feel like the same way you create the offense is where you go back to it. So I created the offense verbally and I said it to this person. So I needed to go back and say it, not try to escape with the text message. So I said, I'll call you. No, you don't have to. I said, no, I do have to. So today I called the person and I talked. And of course, it was, for this person, it wasn't really a big deal. And they expressed how they felt in that moment. And what really concerned them the most was, I don't want you to be unhappy. I know that this particular thing makes you feel a certain way because of how you spoke about it. But of course, I accept your apology and I love you. And I said, well, I love you too. And, we just kept it moving. We started talking about something else. And at the end of the call, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll send you those referrals you need. And it was just that simple. Because I was more concerned about protecting the love with my sister than I was about being right or my opinion being known. Or my opinion being established. And I will go to the other two people who were present and say, hey, in that moment, I changed the tone and tenor of what we were doing. We were there for enjoyment, and I got too serious about that one thing. So I want to apologize for that 3 minutes that I stole. Even though our night ended great and we were having a good time, I owe them an apology. So I'll do that. It's okay to say, I apologize. Apologize to someone because of what you want to prevent. You want to prevent long, hard feelings. You want to prevent a disintegration of a relationship. You want to demonstrate a better level of character, right? Now, I'm a person that I will not apologize if I say something and I mean it. And I know that it comes from a space where what you did is what you did. And I'm telling you how I feel about it. It might hurt your feelings, but this is exactly how I feel about it in a moment. And I still feel that way about it. And I worked hard to give it to you the best way that I could. But if the apology is not owed, it's not owed. So I'm not saying this to tell people to spend your life constantly, I'm sorry. That's not what this is. This is about acknowledging when you may not be wrong, but you want that person, you want to prioritize that person's feelings. And you may need to take a step away from the emotion or the desire to be right. And so really quickly, the anatomy of an apology and how it ends. First, apologize. I apologize. I apologize. Period. That's a full sentence. It's a full sentence. There's action in there. There's a pronoun in there. You can stop right there. I apologize. After that, you want to note what you're apologizing for. And I'm saying this because a lot of us are, not us, meaning not including me in this, but a lot of people are in relationships. Well, I want to be clear, but a lot of people are in relationships and you see a lot of marriages and love connections disintegrate because apologizing without explaining or excusing yourself is a lost art. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have said that if. Doesn't matter. I apologize. I apologize for saying. I apologize for doing. Genuine apologies that really earn acceptance and remove sediment. They remove the plaque, right? There are apologies that don't go, I'm sorry if you feel. Because you're not apologizing for their feelings. You're apologizing for your behavior. And I recognize that people lack accountability so significantly that apologizing is a lost art. In order to apologize well, you have to be accountable, know what you're being accountable for. The other thing is you got to tell somebody why it was bad, why you're taking ownership. You got to tell them why you understand that what you did hurt them. Even if you don't believe that it should have been something they would be hurt over. That's not you. That's not what the apology is about. So listen, I apologize. I apologize that I said, or I apologize that I did. I apologize for the way I said it, whatever you're doing. And then because I would never want to hurt you, or because I respect you too much, or because I love our relationship and you don't deserve that. Do not make excuses. I wouldn't have done it if I only did it because at the end of the day, the apology isn't about their offense or what they did first. You're apologizing for how you responded or what you said. And this is something that is a lost art. I've had the same apology from the same person no less than 10 times in a matter of a 2-year time span. If I would have calculated longer than that, I could triple that number. If you apologize, you need to tell somebody why it won't happen again. And you need to stick to that. Because the second time you apologize for the same thing, it loses its weight. It means you weren't accountable for your behaviors or your actions. It just means that you apologize to remove a feeling of being wrong, or you wanted to temporarily get rid of the issue. But if you apologize, you must tell the person that it won't happen again and why. Marcus, I apologize for making you wait. It won't happen again. I know that your time is valuable. That's why it won't happen again. And then after that, I don't make you wait. It's important. It's important because there's a lot of people walking around hurt. And hurt people hurt people. I see children, I loved when you said earlier, Marcus, that you apologized to your daughter. I can tell you of lots of Gen Xers, baby boomers walking around right now. Parents never, ever apologize to them for a thing because they're just a kid. And apparently kids are not humans. They're things that you own until they have to go out there themselves and learn how to be good humans. Everyone is worthy of an apology when you are wrong. And so to hear a dad say, I apologize, it tells someone when you apologize to them, it tells them that they have value. It also sets them up to go out in the world expecting people to be accountable for how they treat you. I apologize to my children. My daughter would laugh one day. She goes, oh, Mom, we used to talk about you in the room. We, meaning her and my son. And she was like, I would raise my voice and say, I expect this, and and then I would walk away and I would come back and be like, but I love you guys. I'm not getting on you because I don't love you. I do love you. I absolutely love you. This is not me being mean. This is me discussing what happened. I just want you to know that it doesn't change how I feel about you, how I see you. And she was like, we'd be talking about you like she gonna come back. And you know what? She laughs about it now because she recognizes that anytime I give my opinion, she can immediately preface it with, I know this woman loves me. And I know she also knows that if I state something, we had a little conversation the other day, I don't mind saying, and she referenced one of my relationships because I was giving her advice about something. And you know what? She had the right to. She was referencing something that she saw as unhealthy or perhaps toxic or dysfunctional. And I said to her in a text message, listen, I don't know if you said that because you wanted to be intentionally mean or if you were trying to harm me, but I believe otherwise. So I want to tell you that my opinion came from a place of me not wanting you to repeat my mistakes. My opinion was not a judgment. My opinion was you are better because you have an example and because you already know where this can go. So that's all. And she said, oh no, Mom, I absolutely didn't mean it that way. The only reason we could do that is because we started that when she was little. I don't gaga goo goo babies. They're humans, and I want them to develop the muscle memory of hearing something and being able to repeat it, the consonants, the phonetics of things. Apologizing to a child is something that becomes repeatable. It becomes part of their behavior. It helps them to have character. It helps them to learn, okay, if my parent is big enough to do it, you can't come into my life and not do it. And I won't be in your life not willing to do it. So again, apologize. Say what you're sorry for, what you're apologizing for. Explain why you're taking ownership, why it was bad, why you know it hurt them. Don't make excuses for it. Say why it won't happen again. Stand 10 toes down on not making it happen again. And if you need to, if you break something at somebody's, I'm a firm believer in the apology is not real until you pay for it. I did apologize, and don't say you're gonna pay for it and not pay for it. I'm not a grievance person. I don't hold grudges. I'll remember something, but I might still deal with you because it's not a grudge. A grudge would prevent me from dealing with you. I had someone give me something that was pretty valuable. It was valuable because of who it was coming from. It wasn't valuable because I couldn't replace it. It wasn't invaluable. And another person broke both of these things before they even cleared my doorway. And I got a very flippant, my bad, I'll replace it. But more of it was looking at me like, why are you overreacting? So the I'll replace it and the my bad, it didn't sit well with me. And here I am years later and I can recall it. And I do not trust that person to be someone who will stand on their word and replace what they did wrong to make reparations. All these people out here calling for reparations. You haven't even created a repair state with the people you say you love, and you want white folk paying you for something that you didn't directly experience. When you don't want to say I'm sorry to someone, just think about how they're thinking. You're in that same boat. Different categories. There does need to be a reparation, but so many of us are walking around with something that needs to be repaired, and we're not willing to do it by making ourselves whole in the face of the person that we've offended. And that's my rant. Just be kind enough and willing enough and loving enough to repair through apology.
Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. One of my favorite talk show hosts and the voice of the New York Yankees, Michael K, would say, "Sorry doesn't fix the lamp." And so that's
what did they just say?
Sorry doesn't fix the lamp.
Let me tell you the irony. The lamps are what were broken.
I'll be damned. Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so I'm gonna close this out with my own rant and my own closing. I am going to be brief. I am taking my rant from a Facebook post that I was engaged in earlier before. One of my Facebook friends or sister wrote down, what creates happiness, joy, and fulfillment that isn't derived with money or role to someone else? What creates happiness, joy, and fulfillment that isn't derived with money or role to someone else? And she adds a caveat, men only.
Oh.
Men only. So
I hope no sisters jumped in, no women jumped in.
It's plenty because y'all don't take it,
Sometimes we need to stop, y'all.
Yeah. It's
men
more,
only.
It's more women in here. It's more women than men.
Please
responding.
Don't tell me that much.
But anyway, let me get to it. My response, and all I want to share with you guys tonight is what my response to that was, and I'm just gonna read my response, and then we go home. So Bob ain't even gonna get through half the song tonight because I thought that my response was on point for what I needed to relay and how I felt about it. But my response was inner peace, knowing and understanding what you're capable of, understanding what you are and what you're not, and making peace with that. Understanding that self-care is available to us and indulging in it to charge so that we can be what is expected of us to whomever is expecting something from us. It may or may not be socially acceptable for us as men to be vulnerable because we understand what the social norms are. But that has nothing to do with how we actually feel on the inside. That's the life hack for me. Understanding the social norm and not giving a fuck about it. That's the life hack. So you got to be kind to yourself because that kindness is going to lend to your inner peace, which is going to make your relationships better anyway, whether it's professional or personal. And the most important part of all of that, be intentional. Do that shit on purpose. That's the Murr. Marcus's unrelated rant. It's got nothing to do with what we in here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show. Remind you, independence is the key to building your legacy. I want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares. And the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Authenticity. There's no competition, y'all. We're celebrating almost 12 years doing this. So I want you to be well. I want you to be blessed. I want you to give grace. And I want you to always remember to keep it 100. We're gonna be back next week. I'm sure we'll have some more commentary on the 50 years of hip hop. That's something I think that we'd be wise to spend some time in. We didn't give it a lot of time tonight. We asked a question about Busta, and we talked about our moment when we fell in love with it. Who knows what piece we'll get into next week? I'm sure with us doing our draft tonight, there'll be something that we'll be able to get some mileage out of that as well. So we get a lot tonight. I'm very proud of John, and I'm very proud of Steph, and I'm proud to be a part of anything with them. Because they're outstanding. When folks say, my friend's better than your friend, I don't like when people say that. I don't like when people say that because I don't need to put your friend down to put mine over. I could just say John's a dope ass dude and Steph is on fire. I could just leave it right there, which is what I'm going to do. And you know how Steph Marcus J, live from NewDen, Legacy and that radio. Next week, y'all, we'll be back right here. Love you. Peace.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.